from Bartow, Florida in the number 4 Kodak Film Oldsmobile. The 5th row, Ken Schrader in the Red Baron Pizza Ford, car number 90, and Greg Sachs from Manitowoc, New York in the number 50 Valvoline Pontiac. The 6th row consists of Benny Parsons, the number 35 Folger Chevrolet, and Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas in the number 11 Budweiser Chevrolet. The 7th row has Alan Kowicki in car number 7, and outside will be Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia in the number 15 Motorcraft Ford. The 8th row, Bobby Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, and Rusty Wallace in the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac. The 9th row, it's Jeff Bodine in the number 5 Levi Garrett Chevrolet, and the Oldsmobile of Buddy Baker, car number 88. The 10th row, it's Hut Strickland and Phil Parsons. 11th row, Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. In row number 12, Ken Reagan and Brad Teague. Row number 13, Dave Marcus and Michael Waltrip. A.J. Foyt and Brett Bodine start in row number 14. The Pettys, Kyle and Richard in the 15th row. Row number 16, Joe Ruttman and Larry Pearson. Dale Jarrett and Curtis Markham in row number 17. In the 18th row, Jimmy Means and Mark Stahl. Row 19, H.P. Bailey and Randy Baker. The 20th row, Ed Pym and Charlie Baker Jr. And in the 21st row, 41st and 42nd position, Bobby Hillen Jr. and Buddy Arrington. Well, we're having 3 in-car cameras here for you this afternoon. One of them is in the Kodak film car driven by Rick Wilson. We also have radio communication with several drivers. And let's now try to there is Michael Waltrip's car that will also be in the Country Time Lemonade and All-Pro sponsored car. And here is Cale Yarborough, and we also have a radio communication with Cale. Cale, this is Bob Jenkins in the ESPN booth. We're set for some racing, and we know that the in-car camera has been quite successful for you through the years, and we hope it is today.
Thank you very much. I hope so. I need it bad.
Cale, you've mentioned it's the most important race of your career. In line with that, are you a little more nervous, perhaps, as we get set for the green flag?
No, not really. We just want to run well and finish the season good if we possibly can.
Best of luck. We'll be checking with you throughout the afternoon.
Bob, as we mentioned at the top of the show, this is a significant race for many competitors. The dominance of Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott this year in any other season would have left room for at least 3 or 4 more winners. A number of people who expected absolutely to have victories by this final race of the year haven't even come close, or many others have come close and have just had it robbed from them. Some drivers will be making changes to teams, other teams for next year. They obviously want to go out with a bang. So this could be an important race for almost everyone in the field.
Field begins to close up now and get into its proper formation as the pace car leads them through the 3rd and 4th turns. It's Bill Elliott on the pole position, flanked by Dale Earnhardt. The pace car moves down off the banking and enters pit road. Here comes the 42-car field, set for a green flag and the start of the Atlanta Journal 500. We're glad you're with us. Stay tuned for some exciting Winston Cup racing as we end the 1987 season. In the lead is Bill Elliott. Dale Earnhardt is second. Blake Speed and Harry Gant battle side by side for the 3rd position. Davey Allison sneaks up and also challenges Blake Speed as we've completed 1 lap.
From inside of Cale Yarborough's Hardee's Olds, you can see the view that the veteran has as he thunders around this 1.522-mile racetrack. The fastest racetrack in Winston Cup racing, Talladega. The 2nd fastest racetrack, Daytona. The 3rd fastest racetrack in all of Winston Cup racing, Atlanta. You're on it.
A.J. Foyt has been black flagged for jumping the start. He'll have to come in for a stop-and-go penalty. Lap 2 completed. Still Elliott leading with Dale Earnhardt in second. A.J. Foyt still out on the racetrack in the heat of battle, right ahead of Richard Petty and behind Michael Waltrip.
At the start, if you were watching closely, you saw black and orange car dipping down low. That was A.J. Conversely, looking high was Petty as they came down the front stretch as the green dropped.
Elliott has opened up a little bit of distance between himself and Earnhardt, and look at Davey Allison make a move. sliding inside and going to the inside of Harry Gant, picking up that third spot. Gant back to fourth. Then it's Cale Yarborough, Lake Speed, and Benny Carson.
If you follow this sport closely, put it into perspective as Morgan Shepherd in the Quaker State car gives a big slide for life, going into turn number 1, but gathers it back in. Put it in perspective. There's Morgan right in front of Rick Wilson. The people who qualified in the top 10 of the significance of this race for them. Lake Speed, Harry Gant, Cale Yarborough, Morgan Shepherd, and Rick Wilson, who you're riding with right now, Greg Sachs and Ken Schrader. Those were the top 10 qualifiers. People like Labonte and Rudd and Waltrip out back.
You're with Rick Wilson. Right ahead of him is Morgan Shepherd in the Quaker State Buick, and alongside Morgan, in fact, they've touched on a couple of occasions. Lake Speed, now Speed pulls ahead and maintains 7th, but make that 6th position. Morgan is in 7th.
If you're an old-time racer and you're saying to yourself, wow, this looks almost like Old Langhorne, which was a circle. Yep, you're right. You're in the turns well over 50%, maybe approaching 2/3 of the time here at Atlanta. The drivers will tell you this is one of the toughest tracks in the circuit because you're in the corners so long. They're banked. It takes quite a toll on you physically.
Let's go to Dick Bergman in the pit area.
Yeah, I wanted to underscore exactly what Larry Newber said. Gary Nelson has instrumented a car here, and he says you're basically running in a corner all the way around. That makes this a handling racetrack more than an engine or a brake racetrack.
Rick Wilson in the number 4 Kodak car, along with Morgan Shepherd, Lake Speed, and Harry Gant. Now Wilson moves to the high side of Morgan Shepherd as they battle side by side on the racetrack, and Gant and Lake Speed are very close also for position. Wilson moving up now on the high side of the racetrack, taking over the spot from Morgan Shepherd.
Now remember, we're talking about running up front here. This is not 15th or 20th. All of these people you're looking at on the screen right now have had strong weekends. Their qualifying runs, very fast, very stout, not flukes. They have continued to run up front. This is the battle near the head of the class.
A.J. Foyt has heated the black flag. He stopped, however, got back out without losing a lap. Here are the leaders. It's Bill Elliott still in command of the race with a good battle for second position involving Dale Earnhardt, the 1987 Winston Cup champion, and Davey Allison, who will undoubtedly win Rookie of the Year honors this coming, or rather a week from Friday night at the NASCAR banquet in New York City.
I tell you, if you haven't been watching Winston Cup racing all year and you're looking for a microcosm of this year, look no further than the first 4. Elliott Earnhardt, the rookie of this year, Davey Allison, and lurking in 4th place, the veteran trying to hold on to days of past glory, Cale Yarborough.
Cale is the 4th car there in the top of the screen, the orange and white car in 4th position. Cale considers this a very important race, and he would very much like to walk off with the victory here this afternoon. Allison and Earnhardt still battling for second position as 8 laps out of 328 have been completed.
One comment about the weather. Perhaps you've been following the weather down here has been, well, something less than clement as we go inside of Darrell Waltrip coming up next. He's going to be looking at brother Michael Waltrip. Nope, check that. We are going to stay with this battle for second place. Now I'm told. Comment about the weather. It has not been Southern California or oceanfront type weather this weekend down here in Atlanta. It's been blistering cold, but all 3 days that the Winston Cup cars have been active, the sunshine has been out. It was very blustery on Friday, but that has calmed down. Today is probably a perfect day for the race cars and the drivers inside.
And there we are inside the Michael Waltrip car, Country Time Race Cam, and that is Darrell, his brother, right behind him. Right now, Michael is in 30th position, and Darrell is in, rather, 24th position, and Darrell is 25th. Michael Waltrip will have full-time Country Time Lemonade sponsorship in his 1988 Winston Cup effort. 10 laps are in the books. Bill Elliott leads. Dale Earnhardt and Davey Allison will be right back.
It seems as though every time you turn on the TV, somebody is advertising a new shampoo. And after you try it, you realize it's not really new. Just a new color, a different fragrance, or a prettier package. This is new Wella So Fine Shampoo Mist, and it can do more for your hair than any other shampoo you have ever used, with no shampoo burnout. You just mist a little on your wet hair. It's the first continuous non-aerosol shampoo. My hair feels so much cleaner and softer. It rinses out completely and doesn't leave behind the things that can make your hair feel like it needs to be shampooed again.
Watch what happens when you mix equal amounts of these popular shampoos and new Wella So Fine shampoo with water. With Wella So Fine, the result is perfectly clear. No colorants, fillers, or heavy perfumes. It's the pure essence of shampoo. 2 special formulas for your specific type of hair. Call this toll-free number for a $1 store coupon towards Wella So Fine Shampoo Mist or Wella So Fine Conditioning Mist.
Your old shampoo could be history.
There are the first 3. Bill Elliott leads in the number 9 Coors Melling Ford. Behind him is Dale Earnhardt in the Wrangler Chevrolet, and then the Howland-sponsored Ford driven by Davey Allison. So a Ford in the lead, Chevy running second, and a Ford in third place in the early going of the Atlanta Journal 500.
Because you're in the turn so much here, this is a racetrack that historically has given an edge to the strong-armed athletes of Winston Cup type racing. A.J. Foyt, that orange and black car at the bottom of the racetrack, going down 1 lap to the leader, Bill Elliott. Elliott is not what you'd call the linebacker type of a football team, but he's lanky, he's young, very wiry, makes him tough. Earnhardt, make no comment, nothing needed. Davey Allison, his youth is really going to play into his hand here at Atlanta. Because of his youth, he is going to have the stamina that perhaps some of the other drivers won't. Cale Yarborough, very well documented, the physical traits of that man. He's a fullback type. Matter of fact, that's what he played, all-state, in high school. That's why he's been so successful at Atlanta. It takes that type of individual to do well here.
Davey Allison, in his rookie season, 21 starts. Dale Earnhardt, 27. Davey has won twice in his rookie season. Dale had 1 win back in 1979. Davey has won 5 pole positions, and he has been in the top 10 9 times. Look at the difference in money earned. Davey has $337,000 in this season. Back in 79, Dale Earnhardt's rookie year, he made $264,000.
Of course, that was a different era. That speaks somewhat to that discrepancy in terms of dollars won and dollars lost. But without question, you're looking at right there 2 drivers who made the most significant splash in their rookie years in this league of racing, probably in the history.
Cale Yarborough continues to run 4th. And Harry Gant is 5th. Richard Petty has moved up well here in the first 16 laps of this race. He started back in the field, however, has moved up nicely. He started 30th, and more on that from the pit area.
Well, it's impressive that Richard Petty started 30th, as you said, Bob, and is now being shown in 15th spot. In the span of a few laps, he has jumped 15 spots. But what's more impressive is that this car they're running here is not their Atlanta race car. They came here a week ago to test. Richard destroyed the car they were going to run here. They had to bring the backup car out. This is the same car that ran in Charlotte. It was a backup car there because they destroyed the car they were going to race there during practice. So the backup car is doing pretty well for Richard Petty, all the way up to 15th spot from 30th starting.
And that is Greg Sachs. It's running right ahead of Richard Petty, and they go to the outside to pass A.J. Foyt, who will remind you again was penalized for jumping the start and came in for a stop-and-go penalty. Certainly 2 legends in racing there, though, for the moment there a few seconds ago, Richard Petty and A.J. Foyt.
Everybody knows, but just documenting Richard's last win, July 4th, 1984. Some of the other longtime competitors who haven't won since 1985. Buddy Baker, A.J. Foyt, speaking about Foyt, Harry Gant, Dave Marcus, Benny Parsons, Greg Sachs. That win at July 4th Firecracker Race 1985, and Cale Yarborough.
And Rusty Wallace is leading another contingent down the backstretch. That's Phil Parsons in car number 55 behind him, and then Jeff Bodine. That's 16th, 17th, and 18th. Rusty Wallace, the most recent winner in Winston Cup competition at Riverside, California, on the road course 2 weeks ago.
Put that in perspective. As Richard Petty goes to the inside of Greg Sachs, he might have the advantage going into the bank corners here at Atlanta as he comes off of turn number 2. He'll get his foot into the throttle, but no, Greg holds him off. I was about to comment, put into perspective. Wallace running 16th, Jeff Bodine running 18th. Normally, they run in the top 5.
Richard Petty, 15th. Greg Sachs is 14th. 13th position belongs to Benny Parsons. In 12th is the number 7 car, driven by Alan Kulwicki, as we go back and continue to check on this battle for position. The battle for 16th. Rusty Wallace and Bill Parsons are side by side with Jeff Bodine watching from behind, and then the number 22 car of Bobby Allison.
The Senate and the House against the President. the great equalizer, the corners, the long turns of Atlanta.
Now Allison works the high side of the racetrack, working a much higher line than Jeff Bodine. Bill Parsons, it looks like, having trouble controlling the car there in the fourth corner.
Bob, you mentioned at the top of the show about the winner's circle plan. And Bobby Allison and Richard Petty were two of the people who had a chance to get on it if they won today. Bobby, of course, has a win on a super speedway in 1987, and the information we got was that he was just informed that he was not on the winner's circle by our Speed Week show on Thursday night. Bobby just assumed that because he had won midway through this season, but his point standings are really holding him in jeopardy, and unless he wins today, he won't get on.
Look at Phil Parsons fighting the wheel of that Oldsmobile as he brings it through corner number 4. Still unable to pick up that 16th spot, which is being held right now by Rusty Wallace. Jeff Bodine behind. Also Bobby Allison. Buddy Baker is back there. There is Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin running side by side, and Michael Waltrip now right behind his brother, and we go inside the Michael Waltrip car to find out what's going on and look at the lines that the various drivers are taking.
Darrell Waltrip there in the far right-hand side of your screen, just to be out as Sterling just dirt tracks that thing off of turn number 4. Had a dismal season, right, like Harry Gant? What driver has competed, or rather completed, the most miles in 1987? Yeah, Darrell Waltrip. True, they've not been leading miles like they normally have been, but over 10,000 completed miles. Second is Earnhardt. Third, Elliott. Fourth, Kyle Petty. This shot, if you watch closely, you can see the continuous state that the cars are out of shape on this racetrack. It seems like they're out of shape, but that is the way you must drive Atlanta to be fast. Considering that this is back between 10th and 15th, you get an idea of just how much the leaders are flogging to stay up front.
Up front, it is Bill Elliott still in the lead, but not by as much as he was a few laps ago as Dale Earnhardt closes in and perhaps will be battling Bill for that top spot in just a few laps. 25 gone. We'll be right back.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
We test tires in this lab, but we don't really know how a TA radio will perform until we get it here. I believe TA radios are the best performance tires in the world, and I drive them into the ground to keep them that way.
TA radios from BF Goodrich. Tested tough to make your car perform.
We're glad you could join us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, about 30 miles south of Atlanta, Atlanta International Raceway, where the Atlanta Journal 500 is taking place. There is the battle for the lead. It is Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt now right together on the racetrack. Dale about a car length behind, but he has closed in significantly on Bill Elliott just in the last few laps. Meanwhile, back in third as we watch first and second, Cale Yarborough has taken over third spot from Davey Allison.
Psychologically, the irony involved in this, by the way, that brand new blue and yellow car is Ed Pym. That's Mike Kurt's car. They will be running the entire season next year with Sunoco colored sponsor. Make that Sunoco Colors their sponsor, of course. And Ed Pym almost gets into the way of Dale Earnhardt as he puts a lap on Ed. Remember the 1972 Indianapolis 500 winning car of Mark Donohue.
Looked like a very close call there in the backstretch as Pym and Dale Earnhardt almost got together, but everybody is okay. And Earnhardt now again closes in on Bill Elliott as the car that Bill Elliott will be trying to put a lap on next, I believe, is Jimmy Means in car number 52.
It's the two of them. Cale Yarborough has moved into third. Lake Speed has also moved fast past Davey Allison in fourth. Allison fourth, Rick Wilson is fifth, In 6th spot at this juncture is Terry Lonnie. Morgan Shepherd is in 7th. Ricky Rudd is in a challenging position, and Harry Gant is also continuing to run in the top 10.
There is Ricky Rudd and Morgan Shepherd battling for position, and that is 8th and 9th.
Commented that he was in a challenging position. I guess he done finished the challenge. Ricky Rudd using this year's car, this year's ride to pass next year's ride. Ricky Rudd, one of the many drivers, will be making changes for next year. He'll be moving over to the Kenny Bernstein King Racing Buick.
And now Morgan Shepherd works to the inside as Rudd takes that Ford high onto the racetrack. That's Buddy Arrington in the blue and red car that they'll be passing coming down the straightaway. Just ahead of Ricky Rudd on the racetrack is the number 11 car driven by Terry Labonte.
Those Christmas-colored red and green cars on your screen right now, up front and center. Two of the most recent winners here at Atlanta. A year ago, Morgan Shepherd, winner of one of 2 races here, winner of the spring race at Atlanta of 1987, Ricky Rudd.
Ken Reagan is the white car that is being passed by the two, and we have a spin and a crash up in turn number 4. Looks like there are at least
Cale.
3 cars involved, and Cale Yarborough appears to be one of them. Some fire coming from outside of that car. In fact, a rather large fire as Cale brings it to the pit area. Cale Yarborough had hoped so much for a good showing here this afternoon, but it's not going to be.
Bob, he backed into the wall, and I believe that he has split that fuel tank. That is the reason for the fire. He knows that by driving, he possibly has a better chance of putting the flame out than stopping and trying to bail. Plus, if he gets to the pit area, there is emergency fire equipment there. It would be a better chance. This is from inside the car. You can see Cale Yarborough struggling to get out. And Cale Yarborough, who commented to us as to how significant today is to him, has been taken out in an incident, probably, if history is repeating itself, through no fault of his own. A very emotional moment for Cale Yarborough.
The visibility in that car was just zero. It was a magnificent piece of driving that Cale Yarborough did to bring the car into pit road. We could not see anything ahead of him. The leader, Bill Elliott, has come in. Lap 34 as the leaders make their first pit stop because of our first caution period of the afternoon.
500 miles. Remember, the barometer in Winston Cup racing is about 100 miles. That's 66 laps here at Atlanta. We have gone, as Bob mentioned, 33, just half the distance.
Here is Dale Earnhardt behind the ambulance for the moment, but now he exits pit road and goes back out onto the racetrack. Good pit stop. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with Cale.
Cale, first of all, that was a close call. Are you okay?
Well, I don't know. I breathed some smoke and fire. A little hot on the inside.
What happened up there?
Some car spun out in front of me. I don't know who it was.
Looked like you're...
It's a NOCO car, whoever's in it.
Now we're watching it. We're watching it on the replay right now, and it was indeed Ed Pym that got sideways right in front of Cale Yarborough. Cale with no place to go, making contact with the wall, and you can see the visibility that will go to practically zero as Cale brings the car down onto pit road.
One thing we could not see was the hit that caused what I'm guessing is a rupture to the fuel tank, which caused the majority of those flames. Cale going all the way around once. Lake speed was also involved, and we'll take another look at it now at normal speed or race speed and see if we can get any more insight into what happened. But it was Ed Pym seemingly just losing control in front of Cale as they went through the high-speed turns 3 and 4.
Ken Schrader brings the car in for a pit stop, and here is Cale Yarborough coming into the pit. You can see that the visibility isn't too bad right now, but by the time that the car stopped, yeah, there was
you can see the
lot.
flames in the rearview mirror, Bobby. Look in the upper left-hand side of your screen.
A lot of smoke in the cockpit, and fortunately, Cale Yarborough has climbed out of that car and appears to be okay. But our first caution period of the afternoon is at hand, and let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, we had a couple of problems here with Cale Yarborough's car. One of them is that in the back end of the automobile, the neck was broken loose on the fuel cell. They also, however, had an oil cooler leak. So they had an oil fire and a gas fire all at the same time. The primary problem, however, was oil. The fuel cell is intact. The fuel cell did not fail.
Cale Yarborough was running third when this incident happened, but unfortunately it looks like the day is over for Cale. 34 laps completed. We're under caution at Atlanta International Raceway.
If you're looking for the only sports car in the world that gives you the superior traction of front-wheel drive, a competition suspension, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, then look no further. It's gotta be the intercooled, turbocharged Dodge Daytona Shelby Z. It's gotta be a Dodge.
When you replace ordinary spark plugs with Bosch Platinum plugs, you may not notice the change immediately. The quicker starts, the smoother acceleration, the extra performance only pure Platinum delivers. So how long will it take you to notice the improvement Bosch Platinum plugs make? About that long.
Available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores. Installed at most Precision Tune Centers.
This is where champions begin.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mike Tyson, Terrence Ali, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Superstars who forge steel nerves and iron punches on Budweiser's top-ranked boxing. Wednesday, Orlin Norris challenges champion Larry Alexander for the North American heavyweight title. Live at 9 Eastern on ESPN.
Cale Yarborough's car being pushed behind the pit wall. It's all over for Cale after being involved in a crash up in turn number 4. Here's how it happened.
There's Ed Pym up front, up ahead, in that big quarter-mile, half-mile corner. They flatten out going down the backstretch. That was coming out of turn number 2. Now, watch for the Sunoco number 98 curb car to break loose as they go into turn number 3. Ed's watching the mirrors, trying to move over for Cale, and it gets away. Cale gets Ed Pym broadside, spins around, making no real significant contact. And as Dick mentioned to you, the fuel cell stayed intact, but the filler neck is what broke loose, and 2 fires erupted at the same time, an oil fire as well as the fuel feeding what's going on in the backstretch. There you get an idea of the visibility or the non-visibility that Cale Yarborough had. It's like being up in the clouds in a small airplane. Zero visibility.
So the caution flag remains out as the cleanup is underway down in turn number 4. Lake Speed car is also being pushed behind the pit wall. He was somewhat involved in that crash.
I think we may have stretched the point just a touch on the visibility, but you got an idea of what Cale was going through.
So the cars are under reduced speed behind the pace car. We're getting set for a restart, and we'll be back for it right after this.
A tradition of horsepower. For the second consecutive year, Budweiser racing teams captured 3 national championships. Bobby Rahal in the Bud Indy car. Kenny Bernstein in the Budweiser King. And Jim Cropfeld in Miss Budweiser. It's a tradition of horsepower that keeps Budweiser ahead of the pack. Racing fans,
my mom always made me feel better, no matter what.
My mom was easy to love.
My mom used to sing me to sleep at night. Sometimes I really miss that.
She's beautiful, my mom.
She'd hold me and make it all better again.
My mother's the most gentle person I ever knew. When was the last time you took a picture of your mom?
Just when you thought you knew which battery was best for your car, along comes this dynamo, the Megatron 34 from Interstate, the runaway leader in every performance test by America's leading consumer products rating service, with cranking power that ran circles around better-known brands and reserve energy that left others stranded. Megatron 34 from Interstate. A bit of a show-off, perhaps. But then, it did test best. Ask for it.
Hey, this trip I'll get this travel tote free. And just in time.
Budget Rent-A-Car announces free Pierre Cardin luggage for frequent flyers.
Love this garment bag. Just a few more trips and I'll get another one.
For my husband.
The more you rent from Budget, the more luggage you get free.
I travel a lot.
So we got this whole set in no time.
Now, in addition to fine cars at low rates, frequent flyers have 9 more reasons to frequent Budget. Call for details.
Back at Atlanta International Raceway on a beautiful fall afternoon. Not hardly a cloud in the sky. It was very cold here on Thursday and Friday. However, the weather has improved greatly. Here are the top 10. 37 out of 328 laps completed. Dale Earnhardt had the fastest pit stop and got out ahead of Bill Elliott. Ricky Rudd third, Rick Wilson fourth, and Harry Gant stands fifth. Terry Labonte, Richard Petty, Benny Parsons, Morgan Shepherd, and Greg Sachs complete the top 10. Now let's go to the pit area and Dr. Jerry Punch, who is with one of the crew members injured in the Bill Elliott team at Riverside 2 weeks ago.
We all remember how spectacular that was when 3 crew members were seriously injured at Riverside, California. We're pleased to have Steve Caldwell, the jackman, with us. And Steve, your injuries were a broken leg and a broken jaw. I know it's tough for you to talk because they have the jaw wired there for you, but it's awfully good to see you back at the racetrack.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Butch is doing good, and I want to say hello to Chuck, and Chuck, we'll be seeing you pretty soon.
Of course, Butch Stevens was also injured. He has a broken leg. They put a rod in his right leg. He is here also in a wheelchair on the other end of pit road. And, of course, Chuck Hill, still in California in the hospital. Are all the Coors Melling crew. Wish you well, Chuck, and hope you get well and come back soon. They have a makeshift pit crew here. They have Joey Knuckles and some of the Ballard boys, the original Rainier crew that pitted Davey Allison early in the year. Let's go to my colleague, Dick Berggren.
Well, Jerry, while Chuck Hill is in the hospital in California, the fellas at the Winston Cup Garage reporting through this garage area a collection. They started with a shoebox. The shoebox was nowhere near big enough for all the money that they collected. Yesterday, there was an ARCA race here. One of the crews hired some of the professional crews here. They were supposed to have been paid $1,000. Instead, all the money went to Hill.
All right, thank you, Dick. We are under caution because of a crash involving Cale Yarborough. He was involved in a crash earlier, and this is a shot from the Michael Waltrip car. Now, here is Cale coming onto pit road, and you can see the smoke in the cockpit pouring from the race car, and Cale comes out the passenger side and bailing out quickly. Now, the word is that Cale may have inhaled some smoke and flame. He was recommended by our Dr. Jerry Punch, who is a physician, to go to the track hospital and be checked out because there is a possibility of some lung tissue being burned by inhaling that superheated air. So Cale is in the hospital, but he talked with us and appears to be in pretty good shape.
Getting back to that Steve Caldwell story, Bob, my highest grade to Steve, obviously wanting to tell everybody who follows this type of racing that he is feeling much better. It takes a lot of kind of fortitude from the inside to go ahead and go on national camera and speak like that. Steve, my hat is off to you, buddy.
The cars that were running third and fourth before this caution are out of the race, namely Cale Yarborough, who was third, and also Lake Speed, who was running in fourth position, is out of the contest. Lake Speed qualified third, and he is out with the problem that we had up in turn number 4. Now the pace car pulls off the racetrack, and we're getting set for a restart of the Atlanta Journal 500. There's the green. Dale Earnhardt now is on the point with Elliott running second, then Ricky Rudd and Rick Wilson.
Some numbers for you to keep in mind, and if you're going to watch this race all day long with us, maybe you want to jot them down. We'll let you watch, first of all, the cars zip past on the back. Yeah, I'd say that qualifies for the term zip. And up front, look at what's going on in the middle of the pack. Whoa. Down on the bottom, that's the number 98 car of Ed Pym. Darrell Waltrip is stacked up right behind him. Randy Baker, the blue and white number 87, is involved in that group, that spirited group, as is the number 75 car being driven by Joe Ruttman, Rusty Wallace, Bobby Hillen. That's Brad Teague in that pink and burgundy car. And the number 76 car, bright yellow car, Hut Strick, qualified in the top 20 this weekend.
It appears as if everyone was trying to get around Jimmy Means, who may have had some problems getting the car up to speed when the green fell. Look at Joe Ruttman, Kenny Schrader, and Darrell Waltrip moving up. And here comes Rusty Wallace right behind Darrell Waltrip. But look at Joe Ruttman, who has that Neil Bonnet car, the car normally assigned to Neil Bonnet, who's recuperating from the broken hip back home in Alabama. Joe is running that car nicely.
black and yellow or black and white yellow trim car, Larry Pearson. Twice the Busch Grand National champion, of course, the son of the great David Pearson. He, too, in the fray. Those laps, again, I told you to keep note of. 100 miles equals 66 laps, and now Ruttman has given us a show again. Ken Reagan slides up the banking, holds back Kenny Schrader. Kenny Schrader loses ground to Waltrip, to Rusty Wallace, and to Larry Pearson. I'm going to get those laps out yet, I guarantee it. If these guys would just quit racing, and they're still side by side. Down on the inside, Bobby Hillin Jr.
Ken Schrader got hung up there behind Ken Reagan. He's still trying to get around. Now he finally does, but he lost several positions. Ken Schrader did by being hung up behind Ken Reagan, who was off the pace. Now, Michael, that's Hut Strickland, who is behind Ken Reagan, and everybody going to the inside and passing. That's Brett Bodine in the Bullseye barbecue sauce car.
Well, I'll take one more shot at it. I want to give you 2 markers here to keep in mind. 200 miles from the finish or 2 pit stops equals 100, or lap number 196. And 100 miles from the finish equals lap number 262. So as we get down to the end of the race, you got to get at least to lap 262 if you think that you want to go the distance on just that last final stop. Of course, here at Atlanta, many times, including the spring race, there has been a yellow inside the last 100 miles that has decided the race. In the spring, Benny Parsons lost to Ricky Rudd by just that fashion.
And the leaders once again, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, first and second position. And then Ricky Rudd continues to run in third, followed by Rick Wilson and Harry Gant. Battle up front, a good one. Earnhardt and Elliott hooked together. A few car spaces back is Ricky Rudd in the Bud Moore car. 46 laps completed. Bill Elliott led the opening stages of the race. Then when we had the caution because of the crash involving Ed Pym, Lake Speed, and Cale Yarborough, Earnhardt made the quickest pit stop and got out ahead. He's held the lead since the restart of this contest.
At one point in this season, about midway, Dale Earnhardt had led over 61% of the laps. That number has dropped off, but the wins haven't dropped off. Dale Earnhardt has had one of the most consistent as well as one of the most spectacular seasons ever.
Watch Greg Sachs there in the blue and white car nearly lose control out of turn number 2 going down the backstretch. The car sideways on him. Greg Sachs from Long Island, New York. Smoke coming from the rear end of the car as the rubber burns off, but Greg Sachs made a remarkable recovery and did not spin the car. He's right ahead of Dave Marcus. There's Joe Ruttman and Rusty Wallace.
And Davey Allison, who incidentally ended up at the tail of the tandem. He had to make an extra pit stop, or he pitted last, I guess it was, among all the leaders. He started this restarted race at least 35th spot.
Side-by-side racing on the 24-degree banks of Atlanta International Raceway. Davey Allison trying to move up. He has moved up now to 21st position and about to take 20th away, or at least trying to, from Joe Ruttman. Ruttman moves the car high on the racetrack in the upper lane. Meanwhile, Davey Allison falls in right behind Greg Sachs. 2 Valvoline-sponsored cars here.
Among the cars, Bob, that we've been monitoring up front all weekend long, a previous winner here at Atlanta has slowed, apparently running silently on the apron of the racetrack. Morgan Shepherd now coasting down pit lane.
Davey Allison picks up another spot as he passes Greg Sachs. And there is Morgan Shepherd. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
It does not look good for Morgan Shepherd and Kenny Bernstein's Quaker State Buick. A puff of smoke from beneath the left exhaust when they went into turn 1 the last time, and Morgan said, "I'm coming in. We're smoking heavily." They're concerned that possibly, well, they may have lost a cylinder. Now they're looking at the engine. Larry McReynolds and the rest of the Quaker State crew looking as Morgan revs it up, and it doesn't sound good. The engine is missing significantly and a lot of smoke.
So another disappointment for the Kenny Bernstein-owned Quaker State Buick team. The car driven by Morgan Shepherd that will be driven next year by Ricky Rudd, who's running third there to the right of your screen. It is Bill Elliott second and Dale Earnhardt in the lead.
like racing. If you're interested in stocks, sprints, late models, or Indy cars, then Circle Track is the magazine for you. Every month, Circle Track has full-color coverage of the winning cars and the winning drivers and how they made it to the top. Circle Track gives you fast-breaking news about upcoming races. You'll get guides to the major speedways, and you'll get priceless technical information about the cars, information you can't find anywhere else. You'll read about the legendary cars of the past and the most modern racing hardware of today. It's all here in Circle Track. More about the cars, the drivers, the tracks, and more technical information. America's best-selling oval track magazine, Circle Track. And if you subscribe right now, we'll send you this racing hat free with your paid subscription. Get a year's subscription to Circle Track for just $12.95. That's 12 action-packed issues. You'll save $22 off the newsstand price and $7 off the regular subscription rate. And you'll get this racing hat free. Call 1-800-441-1234 right now. That's 1-800-441-1234. Operators are standing.
53 laps completed out of 328 in the Atlanta Journal 500 as the 1987 Winston Cup season ends here this afternoon. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber, Jerry Punch, and Dick Berggren bringing you all the action. There are your leaders, and there is Morgan Shepherd, who climbs out of the Quaker State Buick, retiring from competition. Let's send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Morgan, it's been that kind of year for you, partner. What happened here today?
Well, I think maybe a hole come in the cylinder head because it started blowing smoke out the exhaust pipe. It didn't start messing or anything, but I think a hole come in the cylinder head.
Well, tough break for the Quaker State ride, but now next year you said you haven't quite made a decision. Any statements you're going to make about your plans for 88?
Well, yes, I did meet with Tom Winkle last night, and I did sign up with him. You know, he's the guy that owned the number 62 car that Steve Winkle drove. And we will be sponsored by, well, maybe I better not say it's sponsored. They probably won't make their own announcement. But I am driving for Tom Winkle, and we'll be driving Buicks.
Morgan Shepherd with Winkle and a Buick for 88.
So there's a decision that we were not aware of that has been made this weekend regarding the 1988 Winston Cup season. 5th, 6th, and 7th right here. That's Terry Labonte in the Junior Johnson car, Richard Petty in 43, and Harry Gant in the number 33 car.
And that bright yellow Kodak-sponsored number 4, Rick Wilson, having another strong race as he has so often in 1986 and 87. They've had a difficult time making that car last to the end. One car that has lasted most often to the end, that red and white Budweiser-sponsored number 11 of Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte and Richard Petty. We cut back, open the show. How significant of a race day today is for Richard Petty and Harry Gant. And Richard Petty has turned in, I would guess, and he's still thrashing on it, the most spectacular performance of anybody today. He started this race in 30th position, and now he's well entrenched in the top 10, battling for 6th right now with Terry Labonte.
And he's got 6th position as he moves to the inside and goes around Terry. So Richard Petty moves to 6th. Labonte is 7th. 8th is Harry Gant. And then Benny Parsons. And there's another name that we mentioned in the early part of the show as how important this event is for Benny Parsons. He's the last car there on the right of your screen, the number 35 Folgers car.
Benny Parsons, another one of the many drivers making changes for next year. He'll be moving over to Junie Dunleavy. They, of course, will retain the traditional Dunleavy number 90. They will have bullseye barbecue sauce on the side of the car. That'll be sauce red, of course, painted next year. But get used to seeing Benny Parsons in number 90, but not until today is over. One more time, Benny came a yellow flag, a late yellow flag, and the incorrect tire selection from winning this race in the spring.
There's Benny, currently in 8th position. He's from Ellerby, North Carolina, and began this race from the 11th starting position, qualifying at 171.407. We didn't have a track record in qualifying. However, we did have an event record for qualifying. It's the fastest that anyone had ever qualified for this late race here at Atlanta. Back up front, it is Dale Earnhardt who continues to set the pace with Bill Elliott running in 2nd spot. Ricky Rudd is still 3rd, and then 4th is Rick Wilson. So we have completed 59 laps. 500 miles here this afternoon, 328 laps. We'll be back with more at Atlanta.
Hey, if you're looking for the only front-wheel drive sports car in the world,
that gives you 2.5 liters of fuel-injected power, a sports suspension system, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, all for a new low price of just $89.95. Then look no further. It's gotta be the 1988 Dodge Daytona.
It's gotta be a Dodge.
Now that we're a family, some things have become a lot more important to us. When we had our home insulated, we were concerned about our heating and cooling bills, but we were more concerned about fire safety. So, we selected CertainTeed InsulSafe 3. InsulSafe is non-combustible, thermally efficient fiberglass insulation. Sure, saving energy is important to us, but insulating safely is what InsulSafe is all about.
The Chicago Blackhawks and Dennis Savard have all the right moves. See for yourself when they take on Luc Robitaille and the Los Angeles Kings. Live Wednesday night at 11 Eastern on ESPN.
The NFL on ESPN live at 8 o'clock tonight. The Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins will be trying to get back on the winning track after a loss last weekend, of course, to the Indianapolis Colts. Dallas played the Patriots last weekend and beat them, so it should be a good game tonight at 7 o'clock, the NFL prime time. Then at 8 o'clock, coverage of the game on ESPN tonight. All right, here in Atlanta, the leader is Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott still second. These two have been up front since the green flag drop. Elliott led, now Dale Earnhardt is in the lead, and they have been running very consistently with about 2 or 3 car lengths separating the two for the last 20 laps or so.
Up front since the green flag drop? They've been up front since the 1st of February of 1987. Boy, what a year for these two people. It's been a long time since two teams have had such a strong season, and Earnhardt, as he moves to the high side to try and get around Ken Reagan, they struggled with that the last time by Ken Reagan, both Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Reagan was running in the middle of the racetrack, and Dale had to kind of fishtail through. You saw him go high, then low, but this time hesitated just a bit, let Ken settle himself, and then went to the high side of it.
Ricky Rudd still runs third, followed by Rick Wilson, and Richard Petty now is in 5th position. LaFonte is 6th, 7th is Harry Gant, 8th Benny Parsons, 9th Bobby Allison, 10th is Phil Parsons, 11th Sterling Marlin, 12th is Buddy Baker, 13th is Jeff Bodine, 14th is Kyle Petty, 15th position Alan Kulwicki, 16th is Davey Allison, 17th is Darrell Waltrip, 18th is the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip, 19th is Joe Rudman, and 20th, the number 90 car of Ken Schrader.
Dale Earnhardt has had a very consistent season. A little bit more about that in a second. Right now, back to about 15th position, and take a look at Sterling Marlin going to the high side of Buddy Baker. Buddy will change his sponsor and colors for next season. There's Davey Allison moving up on Jeff Bodine. Buddy Baker surprised a lot of us by leaving the seemingly comfortable confines of Procter & Gamble and the Crisco sponsorship by going to next season to the Red Baron Pizza sponsorship that has been on Junie Donlevy's car for 1987.
Well, the veteran Buddy Baker to the inside of the racetrack, and Sterling Marlin among the newer generation. Davey Allison is also there in this group. Kyle Petty, one of the new generation drivers, is there, and Jeff Bodine also in the number 5 car.
He's surrounded by kids. Buddy Baker is the oldster in that group. Davey Allison, Kyle Petty, all of them just began their racing careers when Buddy was probably at his prime.
A little bit later, and then again throughout the race, we're going to be doing something unique on television as far as coverage of an auto race is concerned. We have a camera in our control room, and we're going to be allowing you to listen to the director and the producer as they make this race happen as far as our coverage. You'll be hearing the commands that they give Larry and me and Jerry Punch and Dick Berggren down there. There's a shot from inside. Mike Wells in the middle there holding up his hand. Neil Goldberg, our producer of race, is on the right, and the switcher, the technical director, is Gary Klim on the left side of your screen. Once again, there are the leaders, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Speed of the race at this point is 132.722 miles an hour. Only one caution flag. That was for the accident involving Cale Yarborough, Lake Speed, and Ed Pim. There goes Davey Allison to the inside of the number 44 car of Sterling Marlin, and he moves into 11th spot. Allison is 11th.
Allison is moving under one of the more successful drivers on the mid-sized tracks of NASCAR. From time to time this year, we've had a little bit of fun of ranking towards and breaking out specifically road courses, the mid-sized tracks, and the super speedways, classifying the super speedways as only 2 miles and above. Marlin's been one of the strongest.
In line, Sterling Marlin, then Buddy Baker, and there is Jeff Bodine. In the Rick Hendrick car, right behind him is Kyle Petty.
Jeff Bodine, who has had 2 poles this year. There have been 12 winners in all. Buddy Baker trying the inside of Sterling Marlin. They're battling for position. Jeff Bodine, incredibly. Baker goes by. No wins, and now Kyle Petty is doing a test on the outside.
And Jeff Bodine drops to the inside of Sterling Marlin. A battle between Oldsmobiles there with Buddy Baker and Sterling Marlin, but now it's a battle between Oldsmobile and Chevrolet as Jeff Bodine has the number 5 yellow and white car on the inside of the track. They're door handle to door handle through corner number 3 and 4. Jeff Bodine a little bit out of shape, but he gathers it in, and here comes the Ford of Kyle Petty. And behind all of this is Alan Kulwicki in another Ford.
You can see how just a little bit of a miscue or letting the car swing out too much robs you of so much momentum. Kyle Petty, for an instant, had an opening on the door on the inside. That's the left door, as Monty Hall would call it. And Alan Kulwicki had an opening on the outside. And Kulwicki is trying to parlay it right now. But Bodine and Marlin are taking up so much racetrack, certainly fair, that neither one of them can get by.
Kyle Petty in the number 21 car, fielded by the Wood brothers. They have the most wins here at Atlanta International Raceway, 11. Look at the close competition down the straightaway. Kulwicki now pulls alongside of Kyle Petty, and he passes.
Putting a lap on Mark Stahl, the number 82 car, the San Diego driver in the Autobell Car Wash Ford. Mark qualified in 36th position. Plans to come back in 1988. There is Alan Kulwicki, who surprised a lot of people with 3 poles this year. Not just 1, but 3. Alan had 2 in a row in the mid part of this season, and he has changed crew chiefs. John Young, who was fielding the car for Alan Kulwicki, has moved on. John, we saw him in the lobby with Rodney Combs, and they are looking forward to 1988.
We're at Atlanta International Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500. With 73 laps completed, it is Dale Earnhardt leading Bill Elliott.
Xerox, the antifreeze that beats winter. Available now.
Makita, the cordless power tool system more professionals use to work around the house, or even build one. Makita, it's all the power you need.
I had to try this to believe it. Denerex tingles. Tells me it's doing more. Selsun Blue, no tingle.
Both Denerex and regular Selsun Blue have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds an extra anti-itch medicine.
So long, Selsun Blue. Hello, Denerex.
Now that Eric Dickerson is gone, quarterback Jim Everett is the main man for the Los Angeles Rams. But 1987 has been a struggle for the Rams. This week on Zenith's Monday Night Matchup, get all the analysis as the Rams meet the Washington Redskins.
The caution is out again, and you're looking at the reason why. Michael Waltrip moving into the pit area. A big puff of smoke coming from that number 30 machine. And it looks like that some serious mechanical problem, maybe a blown engine, has put Michael Waltrip out of the race.
In this Bahari Chevrolet, Michael wanted to do well. He is staying with team owner Chuck Ryder and Bahari, staying with them for quite some time. And they have put together one of the programs that certainly has the most optimism of anybody in Winston Cup racing for next year. And from our standpoint right now, certainly appears to be one of the most promising, if not the most promising, for improvement in 1988. Yep, pit stop time. We're 76 laps into this race. The yellow flag will give all the leaders a chance to come in and make whatever changes that they want to. And our Dick Berggren is down there ready for Dale Earnhardt.
And Earnhardt beat everybody in. He says, hold it on the water. It's going to be a 4-tire change. Bill Elliott on the bottom of your screen. They've got the right side tires. Get ready on Earnhardt's car. They're all about done with the right side now on Earnhardt. Get ready with the left side. Elliott's still in the pit area. Going to the left side of Bill Elliott now. And they're rolling the tires away from Earnhardt's car. What a nice thing it is to watch. Wow, Earnhardt is gone already. Elliott is still in. Earnhardt is ready to lead.
Well, Earnhardt with an excellent pit stop. Bill Elliott continues to be on pit road. Now they finally get the jacks down, and the number 9 car moves out of the pit area. But Dale Earnhardt certainly had the quicker stop on that set of stops.
Bob, a lot of cars went by while Bill was exiting the pits, but the way restarts are structured in NASCAR, remember that all cars that are a lap down or running slower on the track than the leaders will go to the inside lane, and all the leaders, front-running cars to the outside. Did not see how many of those front-running cars went by while Bill was exiting. I don't think too many, if any.
That's A.J. Foyt right behind Dale Earnhardt, now moving to the inside of Earnhardt. That's the way they'll line up for the restart. A.J. has had a bad race from the very beginning. A black flag displayed right at the green flag because he jumped the start. Let's go down to the pit area once again in Jerry Punch.
We mentioned that Bill Elliott's car was on pit road a little longer than everyone had expected. Here's the Elliott car coming in. The pit service begins on the Coors Ford. They're jacking the car up on the left side. Now, Joey Knuckles and a makeshift crew. Now, Joey Knuckles, an excellent tire changer, started the year as a crew chief for Davey Allison. He is here along with Freddie Wilson, Waddell Wilson, the team manager for Darrell Waltrip's son, who is the jack man, Clint Ballard and Stoney Ballard. These are all new members of this crew this week. They volunteered to come here and help. The only one left from the Coors team for the entire season is gas man Mike Brandt. So a new crew. They're not worked together ever before. That's the reason the lengthy stop here in the Elliott pit.
Second caution period of the day underway in Atlanta because of a blown engine on the Michael Waltrip car. And so when the green flag comes out again, it'll be Dale Earnhardt in the lead, and we have completed 78 laps.
No matter how Dodge makes it look, winning ain't easy.
Off the road, the land is mean. It's the ultimate test of man and machine. So we take on the dust, we take on the heat, just trying to prove that Dodge can't be beat. And if winning was easy, why run the race? Can't be number one if you don't set the pace. At Dodge, we know there's only one first place. If winning was easy, it wouldn't be a race.
If you're looking for winning performance, it's gotta be a Dodge.
The problem solvers put on a new hat during Trustworthy's Christmas sale.
Energize your holidays and take advantage of $1 rebate. Energizers, they do run.
Ever-ready rechargeable batteries and battery chargers are also available with rebates. Grips have a patented pre-curve design for a comfortable grip that won't let go.
Trustworthy saves you time and money. We're the problem solvers.
I'm Duke. This is my car. These are my people. This is my cookie. And this is my oil filter. Purelator. Why Purelator? Because they invented the oil filter, so they know how to make them right. And my people can learn from my noble example. Cookie, she don't care. She goes with me because I'm a legend. But
you got your pure oil, now you got your pure oilator. Purelator oil filters.
Paramount Pictures presents Steve Martin.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
John Candy.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones.
In a new comedy by John Hughes.
You're going the wrong way. What?
Are you mad at me?
Planes, trains, and automobiles. Rated R. Starts Wednesday, November 25th at a theater near you.
It's a major repair when the windshield on your passenger car is broken, but it's a relatively fast operation as the windshield is being changed on the Joe Ruttman car. Let's go down to Dick Berggren.
Well, it's pretty quick, but it's 50 seconds so far, Bob Jenkins. They are working on this windshield. He's not the only one that's had windshield problems today. Darrell Waltrip has too. He came in with a huge gaping hole in that windshield. Stuff is apparently flying around on the speedway.
Joe Ruttman did not lose a lap, but he remains the final car on the lead lap. He's in 23rd at the moment. During those pit stops, chassis adjustments also made on the Joe Ruttman car and on Rusty Wallace's machine. Davey Allison continues to run in 13th spot, and we'll try to reach him by radio.
Davey Allison is going after a nice triple here today for the 1987 season, running only on the super speedways for 1987. He's won on a mile track at Dover. He's won on the super long speedway at Talladega. And Davey, your chances here on the mile-and-a-half racetrack at Atlanta. Davey, this is Larry Nuber up at ESPN Control. Do you have a reading on us?
Let's go to Jerry.
Apparently not, but as we mentioned, this would be a nice one for Davey to win because it would truly show his versatility in the 1987, the most spectacular rookie season in a long time.
Problem on the Michael Waltrip car that brought out the caution flag. Let's go to Jerry.
Well, the All-Pro Chevrolet is out, Mike. What happened?
Well, the motor just blew going into turn one. I don't know why. It seems like it broke a rod or something. It could have been a very expensive motor failure. We're 20th in the Winston Cup points, and the difference between 20th and 21st is 20 grand. And looks like if Davey finishes as strong as he's running, he'll finish high enough to beat me out. So I'm extremely disappointed, but that happens in racing. It's part of it.
Well, despite today's disappointment, it's been a good weekend for you. An announcement made yesterday that made everyone smile.
Yeah, that's the only thing I got to cling to right now, I guess. We announced that we're going to be running Pontiacs. The new Grand Prix is an exciting-looking race car. And Country Time Lemonade is going to sponsor our team. Their division of General Foods, and their involvement in Winston Cup racing is welcomed by everyone, and we're looking forward to the 88 season, especially after today.
That's Mike Walter. All right, thank you, Jerry. Well, Larry Nuber, a little bit earlier in the weekend, had a chance to sit down and talk back in the garage area with Dale Earnhardt. What a season Dale has had in 1987. Of course, his second consecutive Winston Cup. And there was another honor bestowed upon him recently.
It's been a very successful year, but you've just been selected Driver of the Year, Dale, and that encompasses Indy cars and IMSA racing. Even though so much good has happened down here, still that must attract your attention.
It does. That's a great honor, Larry. And, you know, I never thought that much about the Driver of the Year thing until later on in the season here. And, you know, I felt like I had a shot at it after that and after mid-season. And, you know, I was really hoping to win that because of the prestige of it, and you know, that's over everybody in the United States and any kind of racing, and it's pretty high honor, and I really am impressed to get it.
Without question, Dale, this year has belonged to you and the Richard Childress team, but I am curious, was there one point of the season, maybe in the pit area or maybe in the garage back home or on the racetrack, where you actually decided, yeah, we've got something special, this is going to be our year?
I think that happened in 1984 when we all signed up to go for the whole contract. It just seemed to get better every year, and we won a championship last year, and all we would think about is going out and do it again, and we knew the races and the championship wouldn't win us any races this year from last year. So, you know, it's a situation where we went out there and worked hard, and every race came back and tried to, you know, repeat or if you made a mistake, and make it better. So, you know, we just worked hard, and we knew we could do it, and we know we've got a good race team, and we know if we all can stick together and work together from now on, we'll keep having the success we're having, and, you know, ain't no telling where it could end.
Any thoughts as to what you can look forward to in 1988?
Well, we're looking into 88 as just another stepping stone to another championship. It's starting out of the season. First goal is to try to win Daytona. You know, we've never won at Daytona, and we've been awful close for the last couple of years and been competitive. So we want to go to Daytona and really try to put that one in the bag right off.
And as a side note, we'd also like to thank very much. We hope you were with us for our special Speed Week last Friday night that we did live from here in Atlanta. We'd like to thank Richard Childress, Cecil Gordon, Kirk Shelmerdine, and Lou LaRosa for their hospitality when we came down to their shops in Welcome, North Carolina a couple of weekends ago for an interview for that special Speed Week. Well, the pace car is pulling off the racetrack, and we should be going back to green here in just a matter of moments. 82 laps are completed right now. The green will fly on lap number 83, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race with Ricky Rudd second, Bill Elliott third, Richard Petty fourth, and then Betty Parsons. Here's green.
The racer of our era, A.J. Foyt, starting on the inside of the racer of this year,
single file formation as they move through turns 3 and 4. Now positions begin to change as Davey Allison is looking at Darrell Waltrip for an opportunity to pass. That's Buddy Baker in the Crisco-sponsored number 88, and Jeff Bodine also.
You know, Bob, you and I see either in person or on videotape hundreds, literally, of races every year. But truly, there is no sound or feeling, maybe a funny car roaring off, but like the rolling thunder of 40 Winston Cup stock cars roaring around a high bank racetrack.
Darrell Waltrip way high on the racetrack, all 4 wheels above that yellow line separating the middle from the very upper groove. Waltrip, car number 17, the Tide Machine, right ahead of Jeff Bodine.
Oof, Waltrip very loose. Darrell Waltrip, I don't think opting to use that higher line outside of the highest white line, dotted white line along this racetrack, but the car is just not sticking.
23 cars are on the lead lap. Average speed reduced to 129.8 because of the caution flag that just came out, or we just came back from the caution flag. And look at Ricky Rudd. He's making a pit for the lead on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. And there are Bill Elliott and Richard Petty also right there. Earnhardt loses the top spot as the car gets high on the racetrack. Here comes Bill Elliott to second. Now we'll see if a move is made by Richard Petty as they go down the backstretch. Petty locks in behind Dale Earnhardt. In that 4th position, the new leader is Ricky Rudd. Bill Elliott closing in on Rudd as Earnhardt begins to fade just a little. Here's Richard Petty inside turn 4. He's got 3rd position as they cross the line.
Earnhardt, tires, question mark. Ricky Rudd, a couple weeks ago on one of our shows, I said, I believe that all things considered, Earnhardt going back to the inside of the king, that Ricky Rudd has had the 3rd best season overall of everybody, every single team in Winston Cup racing. Doubters, sinners?
I'll tell you one thing, that is close competition there between Earnhardt and Richard Petty as we move back up front. And Ricky Rudd brings his Motorcraft Ford off the corner. Here is Earnhardt and Richard Petty. And Petty has to be the story of the race in the first 88 laps. Started not a good start at all for Richard Petty in the number 43 car. Started 30th and is now all the way up to 4th position as Earnhardt takes back that 3rd spot from him. But look at Benny Parsons and Terry Labonte also catch up and file up single file formation. Let's go to the pit area.
I'm with Kirk Shelmerdine. He's crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. He's been perched on top of a tire. You can see all the way around Atlanta. What do you see when you're watching here?
Running a little too high, ain't he?
How are you guys running? Are you just falling back, letting this happen, or is there more to it?
Well, we're kind of playing right now. See what the car likes the best. Evidently that wasn't too hot right there. It's got a little bit too much push.
Okay, tire change, fix it?
Yeah, we'll work on it all day and try to get the best deal for the end.
Can you believe how calm these guys are? I guess when you win 11 races, you get real calm like that.
Not a whole lot we can do about it standing right here anyway.
The one thing they can do here in Atlanta, they can't do at almost any other racetrack, is watch the whole course. The infield is sunk down here in Atlanta, and the crews really can't see what's happening, as opposed to just seeing the straightaway in front of the pits, which is what they see almost everywhere else they go.
Shelmerdine says they're playing at 175 miles an hour.
No one is better than the NASCAR Winston Cup crew chief in playing the shell game. Well, maybe an NFL head coach or an NBA head coach, and we go back up front and look at Rudd being challenged by Bill Elliott, but they're very adroit, verbally adroit at handling reporters' intrusive questions. Dick's question was completely appropriate, and I don't think that Kirk told us the exact whole story, but the one part that he said that is the most truth, these guys are probably the best at making changes throughout the race. So for the last 100 miles, Dale is flat out usually the best.
Couple of Fords up front. Ricky Rudd leads the Atlanta Journal 500 with Bill Elliott running in 2nd position. Then Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, and Benny Parsons. Beautiful Sunday afternoon in the state of Georgia, and we'll be right back with more of our live coverage.
If you own a house, you gotta own a shop vac. This baby's got the power to pick up almost anything.
Got broken glass, nails, or wood chips? Shop vac gobbles up stuff that would kill an ordinary vacuum. And And a shop vac wet dry can even vacuum water like a flooded basement. The washing machine is flooding the house.
No.
Every house needs a shop vac. Starting at under $50, a shop vac is heavy duty, not heavy money. And remember, if it doesn't say shop vac, keep shopping.
If you've ever thought of starting a business, or if you already have, the Wall Street Journal could open some new doors for you. And more important, help keep them open.
Call 800-372-3000 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Skill, precision, strength, and stamina. To bring you the best, ESPN has assembled an outstanding schedule of NFL games. Every Sunday night, your cable connection to the NFL is ESPN.
Atlanta International Raceway, located in Hampton, Georgia, to the south of the city of Atlanta proper. A mile-and-a-half racetrack on which the Winston Cup drivers are running their final event in 1987. And with 95 laps out of 328 completed, it's Ricky Rudd in the lead with Bill Elliott running second and Dale Earnhardt third, followed by Richard Petty and Benny Parsons. That's the number 82 car driven by Mark Stahl. Going back further than that, in sixth position is Bobby Allison. Seventh is Terry Labonte. Then comes the number 55 car of Phil Parsons. 4 is Rick Wilson. Then the number 22 machine driven by the 21 machine driven by Kyle Petty. Also, Harry Gannon, Buddy Baker are up in the top 12.
If you saw what appeared to be a papered number 93, and if you follow this racing closely, you say, isn't that JD's car? Yeah, that's JD McGuffey's car. That's the fastest Avis this weekend here in the Southeast. Charlie Baker actually qualified his number 93, got into the field. JD was among those bumped. They have leased JD's car to Charlie for today's race.
Richard Petty runs third. There he is behind Dale Earnhardt as they go down the backstretch. Mark Stahl in the 82 car being passed by Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty.
Once again, the leaders have to split the difference. Petty now is really in a quandary. Does he take the hole or does he use discretion as the better part of valor? He hesitates just a bit. He makes sure that each of the drivers see him. Baker sees him on the high side. Mark Stahl sees him on the low side, and Richard loses some ground.
And let's go down to Jerry Punch, who's with Dale Inman.
Well, Richard Petty's cousin and crew chief, Dale Inman. And Dale, you're going to be smiling, and Richard's going to be smiling. The car is running so well. What adjustments have you made to make the car run so well?
Well, we hadn't made any adjustment. What happened, we're running pretty good, but there's a bunch of cars behind us that had 2 caution. They've adjusted. They're as good as we are now, and in fact, they're catching us a little bit. We got lucky and started the race pretty well closed, and we're pleased with it now, but there's good cars right behind us.
This is going to be especially satisfying given the fact this is not the car you wanted to run here. You destroyed the other car.
Yeah, it seems like that other car don't want to run.
Well, Dale Inman has Richard Petty humming here. He's currently in 4th. Let's go to Dick Berggren. Not as trouble at the beginning.
Well, unfortunately, our equipment not working properly and unable to hear from A.J. Boyd on his problems that have occurred this afternoon. Look at the guy who has come from almost nowhere. That is Davey Allison on the high side of the racetrack, who has caught Richard Petty. And Davey wasn't even in the top 12 about 6 laps ago, but now here he is moving toward the front.
Quick personal comment about A.J. You know, in his 30-plus years of driving Major League race cars, he's never sported a beard. Well, it's begun. He showed up here in Atlanta this weekend, having started one.
Yeah, I guess he has shaved the beard itself, but is leaving the mustache. So we'll look for that from A.J. Boyd possibly this winter and next spring when we start racing again. Those are the 2 up front, Ricky Rudd and Bill Elliott.
Over the past 4 years, that's, of course, much smaller than the modern era, but so much has happened in the last 4 years. It's a nice line of demarcation. Only 2 drivers other than Bill and Dale have finished in the top 10 points in each of those years. Darrell Waltrip was one of the others, and Ricky Rudd.
Richard Petty and Davey Allison, Pontiac and Ford. Allison looks to the inside going into turn number 1. This is the battle for 4th position, Petty and Davey Allison. Allison looks high now as they go down the backstretch. Falls in behind Richard. And single file through the 3rd and 4th corners.
Richard Petty, whose Grand National career began in the early 1950s, is now 50 years of age. Davey Allison was born in 1961. Long after Richard Petty, Dad Bobby, of course, and Uncle Donnie began.
Richard Petty has logged 22,825.4 miles in 55 events here at Atlanta International Raceway. Bill Parsons, by the way, has moved to 6th position behind Davey Allison. Terry Labonte 7th, then Benny Parsons, who's fallen back from 5th to 8th. Rick Wilson 9th, and completing the top 10 is Bobby Allison. Look at this, a bid for the lead by Bill Elliott, sneaking inside of Rudd, going into turn number 3. White and red cars move side by side, and Elliott is going to pick up the point and move to the top spot on lap number 105.
Ford against Ford. Traditionally and historically, the Atlanta International Raceway is a Ford Motor Company racetrack. These two people are proving it today. Of course, you always have Earnhardt lurking out the back door close by, but the Fords are running up front.
That was our 5th lead change. We have had 5 different leaders. With 23 cars on the lead lap, but 105 laps completed, it's now Elliott back out front in the Atlanta Journal 500.
Man has always been fascinated with speed. But in a sport where there is no margin for error, winning is more than a quest for speed. It's a measure of skill, a test of guts. And though NASCAR has changed through the decades, its spirit still rests on what men who race have always known. It's not just the machine, it's the man who drives it. We're proud to be part of this great sport. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR.
Back at Atlanta International Raceway in the Atlanta Journal 500 as we complete the Winston Cup season for 1987. Elliott leads, Ricky Rudd 2nd, and Davey Allison has moved to 3rd, make that 4th position as he passed Richard Petty just a few seconds ago.
There is Davey trying the inside. Now, on most racetracks, you don't get nearly as much momentum down on the bottom side, but Davey's Ford is sticking as he goes to the inside of the STP Pontiac driven by the King. He gets a good run going down the front stretch and was able to close out moving into turn number 1.
So Davey Allison is 4th, Dale Earnhardt 3rd, Rudd 2nd, and the leader, Bill Elliott.
Not only is Davey 4th, but look how close he is to the number 3 car running in the number 3 position.
Allison closing in on Earnhardt.
Brief recap on Davey's season. He's won twice this year. Mentioned earlier, one at Talladega and at Dover. Davey has no poles in 1987, but he's been close.
There is Ken Schrader moving into the pits. Schrader has not really been in a competitive situation all race long. And now look at Davey Allison challenge Dale Earnhardt for 3rd spot. Down at the end of the front stretch into turn number 1. Allison has the position and he takes it completely. Earnhardt, though, would like to get it back as he moves to the low side of the track. Some great racing going on here. They'll go down the backstretch, and it'll be wheel to wheel. Allison to the high side, Earnhardt low, and watching all of this is Richard Petty. Allison inches ahead once again to the fourth turn. There's Richard watching all of this. Oh, they almost touch if they didn't on the main straightaway. Maybe Richard thinks he's in a pretty good position and these two are going to slug it out.
How do you spell tenacity? I think it's E-A-R-N-H-A-R-D-T.
Now Davey with the car drifting high. Still able to maintain, however, that third position. Third, fourth, and fifth right here.
Retracting a statement of mine a couple of minutes ago, talking about the number of poles Mr. Allison has in 1987. Obviously, he has 5. It's a bit of a miscue here. Davey, one of the most prolific pole winners of this year, second only to Bill Elliott.
Richard Petty challenging Dale Earnhardt now. It's a battle of relative youth against the very experienced Richard Petty.
Really exemplifies the history and tradition of Winston Cup stuff.
Look at this. Look at this.
Could not put a dime between them as they came down the front stretch. Both with supreme confidence in the other one. Richard Petty, a second-generation driver whose father helped usher in stock car racing in America, and Dale Earnhardt, following draft distance behind, close drafting distance, whose father also helped usher in stock car racing in America. Father Ralph.
The first third of this race, Richard Petty, in my estimation, has a very good shot of winning this race, and what a story it would be. His 201st Winston Cup career victory, and if he wins, he would knock his son Kyle off the winner's circle program, and the fans in the grandstand are up and cheering. They are waving their hats. They are keeping a close eye on the battle between Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
Bob, caution flags are going to be very important for Richard in the rest of this race. We're 114 laps into this contest, which will go 328. Richard does not have the stamina to go this race on only one more or maybe 2 more caution flags. Certainly not the stamina of an Earnhardt or a Davey Allison.
Richard Petty has been so close. The caution flag is out. The caution is out. It's going to be for Ken Schrader. And Petty crossed the stripe ahead of Dale Earnhardt.
Well, there's one of those caution flags that Richard needed. Here's Kenny Schrader in Junie Dunleavy's car, smoking heavily down the backstretch, well down on the apron. Ken Schrader, who will be moving to Rick Hendrick next year. That maroon number 25, burgundy-colored number 25 that Tim Richmond has won so often in the last 2 seasons. Pilot for next year, Ken Schrader.
Young man from Fenton, Missouri, who drives just about every kind of race car that is built, and he does it well.
Boy, he really does, Bob. He has won on the mile oval at the Phoenix International Raceway in the last month in an open-wheel USAC Silver Crown Championship dirt car. He's won a stock car on the road course just 1 week later at Riverside. Very few drivers in their career have won in an open-wheeler on an oval and then backed it up in a stock car on a road course the next week. Very few, if any.
So Ken Schrader moves his Red Baron Pizza Ford into the garage area and calls it quits for the afternoon. Caution flag out. The third caution period of the afternoon came out on lap number 116, and now here come the pit stops again. Leader Bill Elliott brings it in. So is Ricky Rudd. And here comes Richard Petty and Davey Allison and others. Let's go to Jerry.
Here's Ricky Rudd's Motorcraft Ford on the bottom of the screen. Bill Elliott on the top. The 2 Fords have been battling it out. Right side tires for Ricky Rudd. It will come around and change left side as well. We expect to get 4 tires under a caution flag pit stop. Elliott's crew now going to the left side. Joey Knuckles and the Ballard boys changing left side tires on the Torres Melling Ford. Meanwhile, Bud Moore's crew has the tires changed. Here's Ricky Rudd down and away. A lot of traffic on pit road. 4 tires for Ricky Rudd as he is moving down. Now Elliott's off the jack. He's headed down too.
So Elliott moves back out onto the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt finally moves out. Not quite as fast a pit stop as he has had previously today, but nevertheless, he did get 4 tires and goes back out onto the banking. 1 one thing that may have been corrected here in this series of pit stops is the problem that Benny Parsons appeared to be having. That car looked like it was having some handling problems as Benny was riding a high groove in turns number 3 and 4, so perhaps they were able to come in and get the distribution a little better.
Bobby and Davey Allison had a close call as they were exiting, both of them watching Dale Earnhardt, and Davey out in front of Bobby. Bobby gets on the binders, fortunately at low speed, and avoids contact with son Davey.
Third caution flag of the afternoon is out. 117 laps completed in the Atlanta Journal 500. Back in a moment.
ESPN and Thrifty Car Rental World Tour Sweepstakes want to take you to Hawaii in February. 10 lucky couples will go to Honolulu for an all-expense-paid week of sun and fun, including tickets to the NFL Pro Bowl. To enter, watch NFL Primetime Sunday nights and NFL Monday nights to catch the winning slogan. Pick up your entry form at participating Thrifty Car Rental locations or write the slogan on a card with your name and address and mail to World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 912, Ridgely, Maryland, 21683. If you're an ESPN and Thrifty Car Rental World Tour winner, Continental Airlines will fly you and a guest to Honolulu, where you'll enjoy a week of sun, surf, and Pro Bowl festivities. Whenever you travel, use Thrifty's convenient service in over 650 locations worldwide. Experience the driving luxury of Chrysler cars. Thrifty, near the airport, not near the price. So send your entry in today and join the World Tour in Hawaii.
We're glad you could be with us on this Sunday afternoon in mid-November for the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway in Hampton, Georgia, where the 87 Winston Cup season completes this afternoon. Let's go to an interview with Ken Schrader, who brought out the most recent caution flag.
Well, Kenny, it's been a short afternoon for you. What happened out there?
Well, something inside the engine let go. I don't really know what it was. The engine went to skipping first, and we changed ignition and coil, and it didn't take it out of it. And, you know, we kind of thought it was one of them terminal things, but we had to find out.
You're smiling. I know you're thinking about 88. You're pretty optimistic about next year.
Well, we're looking forward to 88, but today was the most important race for us so far. You know, we were wanting to do a good day. We were in a point situation. We could go from 9th to 12th, so, you know, we got to just sit around here and see what happens now. But, you know, the old car was running real good, and it was our last run with Junie Donlevy and Red Baron Frozen Pizza. We were looking for a good one, and it was going good.
A sentimental day for Kenny Schrader.
Bob, right now, Kenny is in 11th place in points officially, and he's just 10 points behind Neil Bonnet, who sat out today's race. Kenny will get ahead of him, but Jeff Wadine and Sterling Marlin are close behind, so as Kenny mentioned, it's very vulnerable 11th position.
Davey Allison made 2 pit stops, and he has dropped all the way back to 22nd position, the last car on the lead lap. So that gallant move that he made from the rear of the pack all the way up to the top 5 will have to be repeated. There he is.
Robert Yates and crew have been doing a lot of work on that car during this race. They spent an inordinate amount of time in the pits. Remains to be seen whether or not that will pay off down the line. You would think so. We're still well under halfway in this race. 119 and 328 laps completed.
Terry Labonte is now in 3rd as he beat Dale Earnhardt out of the pits. Earnhardt complained to NASCAR that Terry passed under the caution illegally, but NASCAR says, nope, Labonte is in 3rd, Earnhardt is in 4th as we go back to racing. Look at the 3 abreast racing there in the 1st and 2nd corners as Elliott leads them down.
Broadcasting partner Earnhardt moving to the inside of Terry Labonte, just giving him a little bit of a love tap. Say, hey, Terry, don't forget, I'm here. About to comment up Benny Parsons, having a good day. You see that green car, 5th place. It's been solid.
Benny beginning to catch up with the first 4. Earnhardt in 4th.
Beginning today's race, 13 Chevrolet products. The fastest qualifiers, Dale Earnhardt was 2nd. Harry Gant, hey, where's Harry Gant? Check on that for you, was 4th. 10 Fords were qualified for this event, including the pole sitter Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, 5th, Ken Schrader, 9 Oldsmobile automobiles, including the 3rd fastest Lake Speed, 4 Buicks, fastest Morgan Shepherd, and 6 Pontiacs. Greg Sachs was 10th.
Richard Petty leading Darrell Waltrip, Phil Parsons, and Rick Wilson. Petty is 7th now. Waltrip 8th. Parsons 9th. And Rick Wilson, with our Kodak in-car camera, is in 10th position. We'll stay with this in-car camera as we watch Phil Parsons and Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty ahead of him.
1.522 miles. 24-degree banking. Turns. The way to get around quick is to run the car as loose as you're comfortable, or as loose as you dare.
There's a crack in Rick Wilson's windshield. We've had that problem on a couple of cars. Rick Wilson's car is also suffering that problem. If it gets so serious, they'll have to replace it. Tremendous turbulence in the air forced against that windshield will often break it.
12 o'clock high. Darrell Waltrip, the orange car. High trim, orange and white. Richard Petty.
Hear the driver getting off and on the accelerator as he goes around this 1.5-mile racetrack in Atlanta.
Rick Wilson is one of the drivers who is standing pat with his team for the next season. They believe, as do many teams in Winston Cup racing, that stability is perhaps the single most important factor on the road to success in Winston Cup stock car racing. So Rick Wilson, Tony Glover, the crew chief, and the Kodak sponsorship will return intact in 1988 for this 34-year-old racer who seems to prefer the super speedways just a little more than short tracks.
That's how it looks outside the in-car camera of Rick Wilson. Jerry Punch in the pit area has an observation for us.
How many of you remember the gas lines in your neighborhood service station over the years, a couple of years back, standing in line? Well, here's a gas line in the Winston Cup garage area. All these crew members, after the cars are pitted, must race down here and get in line at the Unocal pumps. If you have a good wagon, it's fast. This one has small tires. Take a look there. This one's a little bit quicker. It's sort of sleekly designed. If you have a good, quick wagon, you can get here in a hurry. Take a look at the one on the Rusty Wallace car, the Blue Max car. It has slicks on the back of this wagon here, but they're at the back of the line. Gas lines, yes, they are, here at the Winston Cup garage area.
Boy, that looks a little aerodynamically tuned there on the front end of that Rusty Wallace
I bet he borrowed those tires from the front of Darrell Gwynn's rail. That's what they look like.
So 127 laps have gone by, and the race average speed is 128.998 miles an hour. It is Bill Elliott, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, that's leading this Atlanta Journal 500.
The antifreeze that beats winter. Available now.
In communities across America, there's a working spirit. People working together with a feeling of pride. Where that feeling exists, there's Dickies Work Clothes. America, it still works. Dickies, the brand it works in. Dickies, made with Celanese Fortrell polyester.
Hey, if you're looking for the only front-wheel drive sports car in the world that gives you 2.5 liters of fuel-injected power, a sports suspension system, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, all for a new low price of just $89.95, then look no further. It's gotta be the 1988 Dodge Daytona.
It's gotta be a Dodge.
When you replace ordinary spark plugs with Bosch Platinum plugs, you may not notice the change immediately. The quicker starts, the smoother acceleration, the extra performance only pure Platinum delivers. So how long will it take you to notice the improvement Bosch Platinum plugs make? About that long.
Available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores. Installed at most Precision Tune Centers.
All right, here's how they're running at the end of 130 laps. It's Elliott running first, Ricky Rudd second, Terry Labonte is third, Earnhardt fourth, and Benny Parsons is in fifth position. On the racetrack, there is Bill in the Coors Melling Ford. Now, a little bit earlier, we told you that throughout the race this afternoon, we're going to be taking you inside the control room here at the ESPN Broadcast Center. Neil Goldberg is on the right, Mike Wells, the director, in the center, and Gary Clem, the technical director, is on the left. Now, we're also going to be listening to the commands that Mike and Neil give us. So you'll be hearing exactly what we have to put up with during the race to make this all go together.
There is the leader, Bill Elliott, continuing to set the pace here at Atlanta International Raceway. On the super speedways of 1987, Elliott has tied Earnhardt. Yeah, Dale has been tied in something. Bill has won 5 times, as has Dale. Tim Richmond is twice a winner on what NASCAR classifies as a super speedway, although that was one road course, and Rusty Wallace twice also on the super speedways, both on road courses. In 1986, Tim Richmond was the leading winner on the super speedways.
Ricky Rudd is in second position, several car lengths behind Bill Elliott, but hanging right in there. It's been a good race for Ricky Rudd so far as he began this race from 14th position.
Ricky is one of 4 drivers who has won 2 races in 1987. Of course, Elliott and Earnhardt between the 2 of them.
Here we go to 17 and 55.
Times, but Rudd, Davey, Tim Richmond, and Rusty Wallace
and 55.
are the dual winners.
Back in 8th spot, great side-by-side racing involving Darrell Waltrip in the number 17 car and Bill Parsons in 55. Back inside, Rick Wilson's Kodak-sponsored machine as he is behind Skull car of Bill Parsons.
There you can see Waltrip moving into the picture. Rick Wilson drops on the low side, struggling to maintain the momentum that you lose from the banking as you go down. You can see Bill Parsons sliding that car through the turns.
Let's go back outside.
Back outside the car now. That's the way it looks on the racetrack. Harry Gant at number 33 is still in this race and still very, very competitive in this Skull car number 33. And there's Jeff Bodine on the high side. And look at that. Davey Allison is beginning to move up through the field once again.
Outside of Davey Allison, those other 4 cars in the picture among the non-winners of this season in Winston Cup racing, at least 3 of them were definitely expected to pick up a win. Listen to this list of people who have not carried the checkered flag after a race. Gant, Cale Yarborough, Morgan Shepherd, Kenny Schrader, Benny Parsons, Alan Kowicki. He became a candidate this year. Jeff Bodine, Buddy Baker, Sterling Marlin, the King, Richard Petty. The non-victors of the season. You can see chrome wheels on the Rick Wilson Kodak-sponsored car. This will be the last race for chrome wheels to be allowed in Winston Cup racing. NASCAR has been unhappy with the performance level of that design of wheels for their cars. They're outlawing them for next year. They look nice, but they feel that the other ones are stronger.
Look at Davey Allison. He's already passed Jeff Bodine for 11th position. Now he's right behind the 10th place car of Rick Wilson. And it has been a race in which Davey Allison has struggled to get back up front after having made several pit stops during caution periods.
Interesting parallel, Bob, between Davey's race of today and the race that we saw yesterday in ARCA of Lee Raymond driving a 1988-style Chevy Beretta. Raymond kept getting at the back of the line after pit stops. He must have passed 100 cars yesterday. He didn't get the most important one, Bill Venturini, who won the race.
And that race will be on ESPN this coming Saturday. Check your local listings for the ARCA race that was held here yesterday. Davey Allison is setting up Rick Wilson. He moves high in turn number 4. Wilson and Davey Allison are now side by side off the 4th corner, and Davey's going to make the pass on the main straightaway. Inside the car now, and the in-car camera will see how it looks from Rick Wilson's perspective.
Here we go to Earnhardt Labonte.
Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt have hooked up in a duel. This is for 3rd position. Labonte is 3rd, but look at Dale Earnhardt go to the bottom side, almost the apron of the racetrack. The car just a little bit sideways as he battles for that 3rd position. They cross the stripe almost go into turn number 1 again. Earnhardt picks the front up.
Dale Earnhardt really showing the true form and the potential colors of that Richard Childress, Kurt Schilling put together machine. That car all season long has been able to run practically wherever Dale wanted it. Boy, he would be something in a taxi cab on a New York street, going wherever he wants to go, being able to get there quicker than everybody else.
Going to pull out and show the leaders.
Benny Parsons there in the green car, still running 5th.
You know, Labonte right there in the red-white Junior Johnson car, yeah, he hasn't had the season that, say, a Darrell Waltrip had with Junior Johnson in recent years, but keep in mind, he does have a pole, he does have a win. Terry Labonte has made all the qualifying races that any owner would want you to do.
Indication there of the interval between the first 5 cars. They're all running very close together on the racetrack, and there's the separation between first and second.
Standby brake.
Once again, there is 3rd. Dale Earnhardt 4th. Terry Labonte and the 5th place car of Benny.
Braking 10, 9.
We're at Atlanta International Raceway in Hampton, Georgia for the Atlanta Journal 500, and we'll be right back.
If you own a computer, here's how to get the most out of it without buying lots of expensive software. Get ready to write down a phone number and watch this. CompuServe combines the power of your computer with the convenience of your telephone to bring you hundreds of online services, like a complete set of encyclopedias and the AP Newswire. It helps you decide on investments, bank, make airline reservations, and shop in the electronic mall. It connects you with other computer owners and offers games that pit you against opponents around the country. You get all this and more, and it's as simple as making a local phone call. To get online with CompuServe and over 250,000 people throughout North America, see your local computer store or call 1-800-543-8000 to order direct or to receive a free illustrated guide to CompuServe. Call now to get the most out of your computer.
Sunday night, Miami's Dan Marino leads the NFL's top passing attack into a battle with the Dallas Cowboys' dream backfield. Live right after NFL Primetime, Sunday on ESPN.
Bob Jenkins, Larry Newber, Dick Bergman, and Jerry Punch with you at Atlanta International Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500 Winston Cup race. The lead held by Bill Elliott. There is Ricky Rudd in 2nd position. Dale Earnhardt 3rd, Terry Labonte 4th, and Benny Parsons is 5th. 6th is Bobby Allison. 7th is Davey Allison. In 8th position, Richard Petty. 9th is Phil Parsons, and 10th is Darrell Waltrip. 11th, Rick Wilson. 12th position belongs to Jeff Bodine. 13th is Harry Gant. 14th is Alan Kowicki, and 15th is Kyle Petty. Now, we're going to give you an opportunity to have you listen to the commands given by the producer, Neil Goldberg, of the show, and the director, Mike Wells. You'll be hearing how they make the camera cuts. You'll also be hearing their commands to us as we carry on here in the booth. The first thing we're going to do is Larry and I are going to sit out. You'll not be able to hear what we say. You will, however, be able to hear Mike and Neil as they put this race together for you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Zoom to the second car on 1, ready, 3.
DL's in the
ready, 3, take 3. Ready, camera 2 on 33 and 7, and take 2. 33 and 7. Zoom on out, there's somebody in front of them. That's good. Go with them. Start finish line right now. That's good on 3, ready, 3, take 3. 33 and 7. Preset 5. You got him a little wider, TC. Ready, 5. Take 5. To go at 33 and 7, side by side. Thank you. Ready, 2. Take 2. We'll use the heads next time around in the backstretch. To go at the first 2 cars on camera 2, camera 3, show me 3 cars. That's good.
You're listening to the voice of Mike Wells, the director of the race.
Go with them on 2. 33. Take 3. Go with them. Push on into the first car. Ready, camera 2. Ready, camera 2. Take 2. 1, 28, and 22. Ready to zoom to the first car on camera 2. Put the ad on the DV. Ready to swoop it up or right over camera 2. Zoom in on 2. And swoop it in. Ready to pan back to the next car. Ready to change the headshot. And pan. Change. swoop it off, and swoop it off. Petty just passed Gant. 28 and 22 on camera 1. Go with him on 2. Start to finish line 3. Turn 2.
Brett, soundbite cue.
Ready, camera 1.
Watch your monitor levels. That's the indication of how things are done in the control room. And Larry and I and Dick and Jerry are not privy to what you are hearing most of the time. We get commands from the producer, Neil Goldberg, and the director, Mike Wells, but we don't actually hear the various camera cuts that you just experienced.
Bob, a lot of people often are critical or ask, well, why didn't you get that crash? I think that was just a taste of what goes on in the control room. And given a camera spotter, given the director, Mike Wells, and producer, Neil Goldberg, under normal circumstances, before you can get a camera to anywhere, at least 4 people minimum have to see something, have to talk about it before they can direct the camera to that position. That is how difficult it is to cover a motor race when things are happening at 150 or 200 miles an hour, as opposed to a football game where the plays happen erratically every 30 seconds.
And you'll be hearing more of this a little bit later. Now, how do we know who's running where on the racetrack? For instance, we were watching just a few minutes ago Kyle Petty and Harry Gant. Well, up here in the control booth, we have Ken Martin, our statistician, who watches the race constantly to tell us who is running where. And that's how we know that Kyle was in 14th position and Harry Gant was in 15th. Now, here is Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, and Jeff Bodine. And this is 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Petty and Waltrip, certainly very few people have left a greater impact on Winston Cup racing than the two of them. Darrell Waltrip, it's not over, everybody. No question about it. Darrell Waltrip is going to be better next year than he was this year. It does remain to be seen, however, how much better will the team be? Can they ascend to the lofty position that Darrell once had, winning anywhere from 8 to 10 races a year? Or will they have one of those years where they finally eke out a couple of victories? Darrell Waltrip does not appear to have lost anything in terms of behind the wheel, but assembling the team, as Cale Yarborough found out this year, is not an easy task in temporary Winston Cup racing.
While we watch, Waltrip, Petty, and Jeff Bodine will tell you that a car that has just moved into the top 20, Dave Marcus, who's having a good day. There's Jeff Bodine working inside of Richard Petty. Rick Wilson behind Bodine. Oh, and Richard is out of control. Jeff Bodine hitting hard. Petty is involved. So is Rick Wilson and Alan Kulwicki.
Threads the needle. Kulwicki gets through, and Rick Wilson backs into Richard Petty. Richard Petty getting out of control. The car coming out from underneath him as they came off of turn number 4. Getting into Jeff Bodine, and I'll tell you, if there's an accident going to happen, Jeff Bodine is going to get snagged up in it. Once again, an innocent victim, as was Rick Wilson. You just don't anticipate something like that happening. J.D. McDuffie's car that Charlie Baker has driven for most of today is also involved with no place to go. But watch Alan Kulwicki on this replay. Watch for the white red trim number 7. You saw a feature on ESPN on one of our race coverages about a month ago about what the top professional race drivers do when there's an accident. They steer for the point of impact. Kulwicki right now is watching what's going on in front of him, can't afford to get on the brakes. He has to tap them a little bit so as to not get into the tail of Rick Wilson. Rick has nowhere to go. He gets to Richard Petty's front end, and Alan Kulwicki, like a fullback, through the hole that opens in line, scoots through, just barely missing Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine hit the inside wall very hard, nearly head on. Petty and Wilson have a second collision. And now Richard gets nailed pretty good again.
Richard was hit twice, very severely, in the driver's door. There you see Jeff walking around. We've had no official confirmation from the crash site, but some concern because of where Richard took 2 very hard hits.
The ambulance
now he's climbing out, Bob. There's Richard getting
Petty.
out.
He appears to be okay, walking away from the scene of the crash.
Glad to see that one. That was a tough one, potentially.
And Bill Elliott, the leader of the race, is in the pits. So is Dale Earnhardt. So is Ricky Rudd. King Richard is climbing over the wall. He's explaining that he's okay. Rick Wilson also appears to be okay, although he's going to step into the ambulance, perhaps be checked over at the infield hospital.
An example of how much on the ragged edge these Winston Cup 3,500-pound race cars are always on here at Atlanta. There are straightaways, but almost they might as well not exist because you sense the turn at all times, and just the slightest bit of miscalculation or the slightest little bit of mechanical error in the race car. You never really know. Now, this appears as though that Richard just lost it, but it could well have been a tire going down. It could well have been a very small mechanical part that affected the performance of that race car, but he got sideways. Jeff Bodine, with nowhere to go, did his best to avoid Richard, got tapped by Richard, which sent him directly into the wall. And here's that move by Kawicki once again. Look how close he comes to Jeff Bodine.
We're concerned about the number 93 car now. Charlie Baker had been driving that car, but J.D. McDuffie was in it, and this is McDuffie's collision with Richard Petty right there. And J.D. just got out of the car a few seconds ago, and also Greg Sachs was involved somewhat. J.D. has climbed out of the car, so he apparently is okay. Now we'll look at it from the in-car camera. That's Petty on the right side of your screen. Watch him lose it coming down off the banking.
Again, looking for a little bit of wisp of smoke before it got away. Didn't see it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Rick Wilson's looking. He sees there's a hole on the outside. I'm going to go for it. Oh, here comes Richard. I'm looking in my rearview mirror, looking for Kawicki. Kawicki gets by. Thank you, Alan. Didn't get a hit in the tail, but nowhere, no way to avoid Richard Petty.
And the in-car camera worked for the most part throughout that crash. That has eliminated Rick Wilson, Richard Petty, and Jeff Bodine, among others. Dick Bergman with Jeff.
What a hard lick, Jeff. Are you all right?
It really wasn't that hard, Dick. There's just a lot of them. Seemed like I wasn't going to stop there. Just kept going around in a circle. I'm glad it stayed low on the track. Nobody else came in there and hit me, but it's a shame. Richard got a little sideways off the corner. When he straightened up, the car swung down in the middle of the racetrack. That's where I was. Not really much I could do. We just made contact and around we went. Kind of a shame because we finally got our car going a little bit. It was pretty bad there in the beginning, but we kept working on it and kept getting better, and he wasn't running too bad. So it's too early in the race to be reckoned.
Yeah, Richard Petty just walked by us. He is okay. Jeff is okay. That is the good news. The bad news is that they are both out. Bob?
All right, and there is Jeff's car, which sustained a lot of front-end damage. Here is, once again, the crash from Rick Wilson's car at real time.
Watch for Richard to break loose on the high side. There you see coming down, tapping into Jeff, knocking him right into the wall. The hit from Rick Wilson. And the ensuing tangle. Here comes J.D.
Red light comes on in that car, and the safety equipment is out onto the racetrack. It'll be a while, however, before the front stretch is cleaned up. A multi-car crash here at Atlanta.
Have a nice day at the office.
When things heat up on the track, I keep my cool with Ice Blue Aqua Velva. Honest, rugged, my kind of style. Another tough day at the office.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva man.
Sometimes you got it today. Emerson's got it right. Fine tune your life. Nobody's got to tell you. Emerson does it right. Fine tune your life.
Fine tune your life with Emerson.
Xerox, the antifreeze that beats winter. Available now.
We have a lot of damaged equipment here on the front stretch at Atlanta International Raceway. Jeff Bodine's car is a mess, so is Rick Wilson's. Richard Petty's car sustained heavy damage. The car driven by J.D. McDuffie also has been totally demolished. No driver injuries, however, in this crash that occurred at the main straightaway, on the main straightaway, when Richard Petty came down off the banking and gave Jeff a tap, and a lot of things occurred after that. Well, Neil Bonnet is recovering from serious injuries suffered at Charlotte earlier this year. He sustained very serious leg and hip injuries, and recently we were able to go to his home in Bessemer, Alabama to talk with him to see how he's doing. Now, there is the car that Neil would normally drive in a Winston Cup race. That's being driven this weekend by Joe Ruttman. So Dr. Jerry Punch was the individual who went to Neil Bonnet's home to talk with him about how things are going in his recuperation.
Over the past 13 years, Neil Bonnet's career has had its ups and downs. But over the past year and a half, there have been more downs than ups. The mishaps have caught up with Neil Bonnet. On October 11th at Charlotte Motor Speedway, lap 56, a career-threatening accident for Neil Bonnet. We are here in Bessemer, Alabama at 5640 Victory Lane, appropriately the address for Neil Bonnet. And we're visiting with Neil. And Neil, we've seen the footage of the accident at Charlotte, but you tell us what happened.
Well, it wasn't the type of accident that I thought I'd be sitting here 5 weeks after it happened explaining why I'm still not racing, because I've had a lot of bad accidents. But that particular accident, we were running fairly competitive. I was running a group of cars. Matter of fact, I was leading a group of cars. I had Ricky Rudd directly behind me, and I think Petty, and then another car, and then I had a gap in the racetrack. And when the tire blew, the next thing I knew, I had blurred vision. You know, it's a matter of, I was going in the corner, I was fixing to turn left, but the tire blew out. As soon as the tire blew out, I hit the wall. And I hit it probably at that place around 175 or 180 miles an hour. I brake with my left foot, and I mashed gas with the right foot, and my leg was over on the wrong side of the car when I hit, and I just held the car against the wall. And it's a heck of a thing to say, but I don't know if anybody's ever stood by an interstate and just hear cars going choo, choo, choo. You hear them go by. Well, I heard, I thought it was 3 or 4 cars go by. I couldn't get back up high enough to look in the mirror because it virtually just destroyed everything in the car. When it hit, the mirror and everything was torn out. But as soon as I heard the last car go by, I let the car pull over. I turned left and got in the infield. And the minute that thing stopped in the infield, I called Butch Mock, who owns the car. I said, Butch, just the minute they get this traffic slowed down, get them out here as quick as you can, because my leg's broken real bad.
Neil, we've established that you were not unconscious at the time of the accident, so you knew what was happening. The safety crews arrived almost instantly, but it took an interminable amount of time before they got you out of the car. What was going on during that time?
The guy said, we're not going to be able to get him out of the windshield, out the window. And I told him, I said, man, please don't. You know, I said, I'm just telling you, I can't go back out that window. I knew how bad it was hurting and everything, and I just didn't think I could make it out there. The guy said, we can't get him out the door. I said, well, if you'll get one of those little NASCAR trucks over here, they got something to take a roof off this car. I said, if you will, I said, just take the top off.
Neil, it has to be reassuring. Over this period of time, you've had a tremendous amount of family and fan support. You've gotten all kinds of letters and cards. We're surrounded by cards and letters and gifts and baskets that have come in the mail. It's got to make you feel awfully warm about the kind of people who are thinking about you.
I mean, there's things over there's pictures over there, some kid that can't even draw a square enough box to put wheels on it, but he can make a 75 on the side of it and say Neil Bonnet's race car. So I read one, there's a woman that's 92 years old that just had a hip replacement. So I ain't got a lot of problems. I've got time structure problems, time-wise what I got to do. But since I started racing, I've been blessed. I mean, I've had accidents, I've gotten over them, and if I was sitting here and there wasn't any cards here and they wasn't bringing a stack of them in every day, I would be upset. You know, when you go through driver introduction, you listen, a lot of the guys get booed, a lot of the guys get the most applause. And I went through it a lot of times, and I said, man, I'd love to get the most applause one day, but I'll take this right here, right now. When you're down and you're out and you need some support, and these people are nice enough to take time to send cards and interested in you, it means a lot to me.
Neil, with your career in Winston Cup racing, 16 Winston Cup wins, over $3 million in earnings, you've been successful. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Why are you punishing yourself now, going through this accelerated rehabilitation program to come back? I mean, you don't have to get back in that race car, but why are you doing it?
Well, fortunately, financially, I don't have to, and that crossed my mind. You know, do I need to do it anymore? And Jerry, I laid there and I thought about it, and I said, you know, I can do some more fishing, I can do some more hunting. But there ain't one thing I like better than fishing and hunting, and that's racing. And the day's going to come when I say it ain't worth it. I mean, it just ain't worth it. But you're sitting there talking to somebody that might win a Daytona 500. If I can get well, I might win the Daytona 500. And then, you know, all the bad stuff that happened just was something, a step, just a blockage in the way of me getting to Daytona to win the 500, because that's what I got in mind. If I don't win the Daytona 500, I might go to Richmond and win Richmond. But if I don't win Richmond, I might slip up there to Rockingham and win it. So I've still got that frame of mind that I can win on the circuit. If I didn't think I could, I'd be rehabilitating twice a day, 2 days a week. I'd be sitting up there watching TV, and I'd know all the soap operas. But only thing I'm concerned about is getting ready to win some races, and I'm working hard to do it.
What many people feel is a career-threatening injury. Some doctors in the country feel this injury cannot heal in 6 months. You're trying to do it in 3 months. As a physician, I have to tell patients that this injury will take 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year to heal. Knowing you, I think you'll be in Daytona. If anyone can be in Daytona in 2 months, it'll be this man, Neil Bonnet. I think he will. I think when the green flag drops for Speed Weeks 88, old Neil Bonnet will be in that car number 75 headed for the green flag. And maybe, just maybe, headed for the checkered flag the same day.
Well, we hope Neil is back with us very soon on the Winston Cup Trail. We're still under caution because of a multi-car accident with no injuries on the main straightaway. And we'll be right back.
If you're looking for the only sports car in the world that gives you the superior traction of front-wheel drive, a competition suspension, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, then look no further. It's gotta be the intercooled, turbocharged Dodge Daytona Shelby Z.
It's gotta be a Dodge.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
It's the ultimate NFL highlight show. Every Sunday, see the greatest action from every game played that day. More NFL highlights than ever before in one show. Join Chris Berman, Pete Axthelm, and Tom Jackson for NFL Prime Time. Sundays at 7 Eastern, right before live NFL football on ESPN.
We're back at Atlanta, and the green flag came out a lap ago, so this is the first lap under green, and it's Dale Earnhardt leading Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott and Bobby Allison.
Bob, you know, just a couple of personal comments about Neil as we watch the field fly by here at Atlanta. We get to a lot of racetracks, and it's our job to, in effect, badger the competitors. Often they're very busy. They're at the office. They're at work. They're on the telephone, their version of the telephone, their race car. And from time to time, different race drivers, particularly the ones that are in very high demand, obviously are in a position they have to respond differently. It's not always so sociable and friendly. Understandable. But Neil Bonnet has always been one of the most approachable and one of the most frank and honest personalities that we've been associated with.
First four cars right together on the racetrack. We're just past the halfway point. Lap 166 complete. The halfway point was 164. And there is Bill Elliott taking second position from Terry Labonte. Our Napa mid-race recap. Dale Earnhardt led at the halfway point. He's led 57 of the 164 laps, and his margin just about a tenth of a second. Cars on the lead. Lap 17, we've had 6 leaders and 7 lead changes. 4 caution periods for a total of 27 laps. Those out of the race include Cale Yarborough, Lake Speed, and Ed Pym because of the crash in the early going. Morgan Shepherd dropped out, so did Michael Waltrip. A.J. Foyt, Ken Schrader dropped out because of mechanical problems, and then J.D. McDuffie, Jeff Bodine, Richard Petty, and Rick Wilson, all 4 involved in that crash here on the main straightaway just a few laps ago. No injuries so far in this race, although a lot of equipment was badly damaged in that crash just a few laps ago. Well, the first two are Earnhardt and Elliott, and that's basically where we began this race, with Elliott on the pole and Earnhardt on the outside, and these two have been pretty much dominant throughout the contest, although Ricky Rudd led several laps in that Motocraft Ford. Bobby Allison is showing some strength. He's in the Miller American car in 4th position. Then the 5th place spot is held by Ricky Rudd at the moment. There's Labonte, Bobby Allison, and Ricky Rudd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And Davey Allison is in 6th position. Up and down day for Davey, but he has always been very competitive. The car very fast, despite the fact that he's had to make some restarts from well back in the line.
Yeah, Bob, the up part, as you mentioned, has been on the racetrack. The down part has been all of the down time spent in the pits. So don't discount Davey Allison by any stretch of the imagination. He is definitely one of the threats in this race.
And here is a group of cars. Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, and Joe Ruttman in the Neil Bonnet car.
And Joe Ruttman finally has together his own operation. We have been told throughout the remainder of 1987 that he would fill his own car. He'll come back Ford-powered next year. And Joe Ruttman, working out of Tennessee, will have his own team and will be a full-time Winston Cup driver in 1988.
Rusty Wallace in the Kodiak Pontiac, looking strong. He's running in the 13th position.
Joe Ruttman is one of a number of driver changes or new teams coming to Winston Cup racing next year. You saw Ed Pim earlier as we go back up front. Look at Mr. Earnhardt, Mr. Elliott. Of course, that blue number 98 will be part of the league. Ken Bouchard, who ran so well in the ARCA race yesterday, will be fielding a Ford by Bob Whitcomb and Bob Johnson as the crew chief. And Mark Martin is coming to Winston Cup racing also next year.
Allison picks up another spot. He moves to 5th, dropping Ricky Rudd back to 6th. Davey Allison, the number 28 Haviland Ford, now moving to the high side of Bobby Allison, his dad, and he also passes his father and goes to 4th.
And Ricky in his Ford tries to follow through. Remember how strong he was in the early laps. He was definitely the superior car in this race for about a 100-lap period between maybe lap 35 and lap 135. Talking about Ford, they are really picking up some teams next year. In addition to Ruttman, Bouchard and Mark Martin will also be bringing the Ford Moco Mark to Winston Cup racing next year.
Boy, Davey Allison just really fast out there. He's now 3rd. Here comes Ricky Rudd passing Terry Labonte. Rudd goes to 4th.
Well, Bob, I think that both Allison and Rudd are quicker, at least at this point in the race, than the leaders Earnhardt and Elliott. And if we stay green here for about 15 laps, I think we're going to see a trophy dash for the front-running spot.
Interval between 2nd and 3rd. Allison, then Rudd, then Labonte, and then Bobby Allison. Jerry Punch down in Davey Allison's pit. Perhaps Jerry can get the information on why the stops have been numerous for Davey.
Well, they've had numerous pit stops. I'm with the team manager, Robert Yates. And, Robert, you've lit the candle in this car. It's coming up front in a hurry. What have you done?
Well, it's really been working pretty good all day. We've had to start in the rear every time. We've had a wheel vibration. We had a flat tire. It seemed like every time we had to start in the rear. Right now, David's got an eyelash in one of his eyes. We just hope that's not going to hurt him any, but we feel pretty good right now. Car seems to be working real well.
Well, it's not hard enough to drive here at 170 miles an hour in traffic, but with one eye, come on, guys, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, all things can go wrong in racing. You're going to have an eyelash bother you while you're out there at 175 miles an hour is no picnic. In my estimation, this is the fastest car on the racetrack. He is catching Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, who are 1st and 2nd. Davey Allison could very well be in a position to challenge for that 2nd or maybe even lead within the next few laps. 127.197, the average speed at the end of 176.
You know, there are a lot of places where you can look for an auto part. But here's where you'll find it. Napa has parts for imports and other hard-to-find parts. So come to Napa first. We've got your part.
Americans buy lots of imported cars. Isn't it nice to know that Napa has the parts right here when you need them? Don't miss the boat on parts for imports.
come to Napa.
A tradition of horsepower. For the second consecutive year, Budweiser racing teams captured 3 national championships. Bobby Rahal in the Bud IndyCar. Kenny Bernstein in the Budweiser King. And Jim Cropfeld in Miss Budweiser. It's a tradition of horsepower that keeps Budweiser ahead of the pack. Racing fans,
there are 2 places on Earth where you're likely to find the world's most spectacular reds. Watching the Queen's Guard, and right in here on Kodacolor VRG 200 film. And now, Kodak is proud to present the world's most thrilling blues. Right in here on our sharpest 400-speed film ever. Introducing Kodacolor VRG 400 film.
You're enjoying today's live telecast of the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway, being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Purolator, the first name in filters, or pure oil now, and pure oil later, it's Purolator. And by Kodak VR35 cameras, the easy way to shoot great 35mm pictures. Great crowd on hand here in Atlanta on a cold day, but they're seeing some great action. Not necessarily, however, from the Darrell Waltrip car. The car slowed dramatically 2 laps ago. He is in the pits, and work is going on the Tide machine right now.
Darrell Waltrip, another disappointing day, but I'm sure that Darrell would just as soon 87 come to an end.
The leaders, Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, and Davey Allison. And Allison has now caught Bill Elliott. They're separated by only 1 or 1.5 car lengths. It's Davey Allison's first full season in Winston Cup competition. He didn't run a full season, but at least he did run enough to be eligible for Rookie of the Year. We asked him what he learned in this first season.
Actually, I guess the communication, because that's one of the most vital parts of it. You have to be able to communicate with your crew. You have to be able to get the message across of what the car's doing on the racetrack, and they have to understand what you're saying to them. And then they have to, in turn, be able to tell you what they've done to correct that, and in terms that you can understand as a driver. And that's probably the most difficult part for anybody to get used to on the Winston Cup circuit.
Despite the fact that Davey has been competitive all afternoon, he has not yet led a lap.
Bob, wherever we travel around the country, we hear competitors nowadays talking about coming to Winston Cup racing. It is attracting more major league attention of those people in the grassroots than any other type of racing. There is Harry Gant working to the inside of the number 35 car of Benny Parsons. Both of these people needed a good day. They had it. Wherever they finished, they've got the satisfaction of knowing they have at least been competitive today here at Atlanta, and that is something, particularly in Harry's case, he hadn't been all year.
Gant is in 7th. Benny Parsons is in 8th position. A couple of green and white cars down the backstretch. Harry Gant, 7th. Benny Parsons in 8th position. Neither have won on the Winston Cup Trail in 1987.
But recall, Benny's closest call, 2nd place right here in Atlanta in the spring.
Of course, he did win a twin 125 qualifier at Daytona. Now, we're going to once again allow you to hear the communication between the producer, Neil Goldberg, the director, Mike Wells, and those of us who are working the commentary for this race.
Bob, as we look at Harry, you really can't say that he's had a high water mark in this season. He had a 6th place at Bristol after setting on the pole. That probably is his best performance of this year. That just came after 2 weeks earlier, having finished 7th at Darlington. But that was way back in March and April.
Moving back up front.
the front, and we see Dale Earnhardt maintaining about a 3-car length advantage on Bill Elliott. Davey Allison has dropped back just a little bit in 3rd position, but he may be just biding his time and making sure he's within striking distance should something happen to either Dale or Bill.
Earnhardt employing his own form of the Star Wars defense system, trying to hold back Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd among others, and the charging Davey Allison. You know, Dale's dominance this season has been so great that the wins were not clustered. They have spread out over the entire year. He won 3 times total in February and March, 3 times in April. May was the only month he was shot out in. In June, he won once. There were only 3 races. He won once in July, won once in August, twice in September. He hasn't won yet in October or November. So is his number up?
We talked about the fact that the only pole position winner of this race was way back in 1960, the very first race here, but Fireball Roberts carried home the money. However, Bill Elliott is the only driver to win races this year from the pole position at Daytona and Talladega.
Only 2, Bob. Only 2 Winston Cup races have been won from the pole. And, you know, we were talking when we were coming up to the race this morning. Who do you think is the favorite? And I wanted to say Elliott, but the numbers did seem to be against him. As you mentioned, this race has never been won from the pole except that very first time. And Winston Cup winners of this year haven't come from the pole.
Here's the 17 car, and then down to Jerry.
Number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is back out on the racetrack. Let's go to Jerry Punch to find out what was wrong with Darrell a few laps ago.
Go, Jerry.
Well, this piece you're looking at is a rotor button, and I'm standing with Jeff Hammond. Jeff, what happened with the car? They threw this rotor button in the air when Darrell came down pit road. Was there a problem with the ignition?
Yeah, Jerry. What happened was, let's look the piece right here on the rotor button. What happens when that piece of plastic gets broken or breaks on its own, it turns the pointer sideways inside the cap and the car loses ignition. That's what happened to our car right just a minute ago. The thing broke and it turned sideways, lost ignition. We had to change this about a $3 part right here to get back in the race.
A $3 part could cost Darrell Waltrip a lot of money in the point standings as well as here today.
Well, he lost 7 laps while he was in for that problem, and now Darrell Waltrip back out on the racetrack and running at full speed.
Trailing Hut Strickland, who's had a strong weekend, back up front. There is Mr. Earnhardt, Mr. Elliott, and Mr. Allison. Is it only a matter of time, or is Davey biting this time?
16 cars remain on the lead lap as we have completed now 191 laps out of 325 at the Atlanta Journal 500.
If you love cars, you'll love Auto Week. Every week, Auto Week puts you inside the world's most exciting cars. GTs, sports sedans, collector cars, 4x4s, front drivers. Auto Week makes you an insider with industry news, personality profiles, old cars, columnists, the best classified anywhere. And nobody covers racing like Auto Week. You get the fastest coverage of Formula One, sports cars, stockers, Indy cars, with columnists who race and win. Let Auto Week put you behind the wheel every week. Call 1-800-554-3000 to get Auto Week at the lowest price ever. Just $17.25 for 52 issues, only 33 cents a week. Save 25% off the basic rate. 1-800-554-3000. Let Auto Week put you in the driver's seat every week.
It remains basically a 3-car race. The leader is Dale Earnhardt. Second place, Bill Elliott, and Davey Allison is third. Fourth position belongs to Ricky Rudd. In fifth is Terry Labonte. Sixth, Bobby Allison. Seventh, Harry Gant. Eighth is Benny Parsons. Ninth is the number 7 car of Alan Kowicki. And 10th is Phil Parsons. And there are Bobby Allison and Harry Gant, 6th and 7th.
Bobby Allison right now trying to hold off Harry Gant. Two of them are creating their own Mideast crisis here going ahead on the battlefield. Bobby Allison is one of the people who will be changing numbers next year. Not changing teams, not changing sponsor, although the car will be gold and white as they go to another brand, another product within the Miller family. But Bobby Allison will be going to his traditional and beloved number 12. He's getting that number from Roger Henry, who's had the unique situation and the fortunate situation for 2 years running now to have a number that somebody else wanted. They paid him to get it.
Benny Parsons very high on the racetrack. And there is Rick Wilson, who rejoins the race. This is our in-car camera, and it still works fine, but look how the car looks from the outside. It looks like a modified running out there, as the front end is completely missing and most of the rear end of the car.
Rick Wilson is not in any points battle, certainly in terms of the potentiality of the top 20, but this gives you an idea of the attitude that these Winston Cup racers have. They all like to race, and because the points are structured such and the money structured such, they like to get in as many laps as they possibly can.
Well, Rick Wilson is coming back in, and very well he should, because Harold Kinder, the flagman of NASCAR, was waiting on Rick Wilson to give him the black flag and to tell him to get into the pit area.
But, Bob, in some instances, what happens is a crew will send the car out there. They want to check something. They want to make sure the wheels don't fall off, for instance, when they go out the first lap. And now they have an opportunity to come back and maybe put on a makeshift hood, put on a little more grill work, just a temporary fix, and then send Rick back out really for real.
And here are the brothers Parsons running together. Benny trying desperately to keep control of that car. He's a little loose out there. But running alongside brother Bill, the number 55 car.
One of Bill's better races of this year. He's been in the top 10 all day long. Bill Parsons is moving right now. Alan Kowicki and that Ford trying to follow suit as Benny Parsons out of the Rick Hendrick stable trying to turn in one great final performance here for that team before he moves on in 1988. Benny very loose. You can see the car sliding out of the lane.
Well, you know, we observed that very early in the race, and when he made a pit stop, we kind of suspected that he had the handling problem solved, but it appears to have reared its ugly head once again. By the way, 8th, 9th, and 10th here. Bill Parsons, 8th, then Alan Kowicki, and in 10th position is Benny.
You mentioned about Benny moving on to another team next year. He will be joining Junie Dunleavy, for whom Kenny Schrader has labored this year. Some other drivers who will be moving on as we watch this group running solidly in the top 15. Dale Jarrett will share his driving duties between Cale Yarborough and Haas Ellington. Morgan Shepherd will have a new Pontiac team that he and Tom Winkle, who has been a car owner for Steve Chrisman this year, are assembling. Kenny Schrader, mentioned, going to Hendrick. He'll drive the number 25. And Ricky Rudd, of course, joining the Quaker State Green of Kenny Bernstein. Brett Bodine goes to Bud Moore. Interesting opportunity there. Bud Moore choosing a driver that isn't quite as proven as he normally selects. He went with an unproven driver once before. It was Darrell Waltrip. He didn't like him at first. Probably would like to have him back now.
Now a little bit of racetrack interval opens up between Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, first and second, as Elliott tries to remain ahead of Davey Allison. Let's go down to Dick Burton, who's with Richard Childress of the Dale Earnhardt crew. Well, apparently some continuing problems with the equipment of Dick Berggren, so we'll hopefully be able to talk with Richard Childress in just a few moments. But his driver, Dale Earnhardt, is the leader and has led the most laps so far.
Next year will have the same team, same number, but the color scheme and the sponsor will change. See his record here at Atlanta, 3 wins in 19 starts. It's pretty good batting average. If he could maintain that for his whole career at every racetrack, I'm sure he'd be very happy. But the car next year will be black and silver with some subtle red-orange trim, the sponsorship of Mr. Goodwrench. Buddy Baker continues with the Schiff Baker Racing Team. The number will be 88 again next year. The new sponsor, Red Baron, surprised a lot of people when he left Procter & Gamble. Junie Dunleavy with new driver Benny Parsons will inherit the Bullseye barbecue sauce sponsorship that Haas Ellington has had this year. And Bud Moore and Terry Labonte is off the pace.
Unfortunate break for Terry Labonte, who was 5th. He has slowed and is down on the apron of the racetrack in the backstretch and appears to be headed for pit road. Tough break for Junior Johnson's team and Terry Labonte as driver.
Terry Labonte came into today's race 3rd in points, but with a pretty good cushion. He was 130 points ahead of Darrell Waltrip and 230 points ahead of the 5th running in the points, Rusty Wallace. And Terry really only needed about a 35th position finish to lock up his 3rd place position in points. It was a lot of money, and he's got it today. I know he'd like to race for the win, but at least he has preserved third place in points.
One win for Terry this year, but not today, as he brings the car in now and stops in his assigned pit area. The crew moves in to raise the hood and to try to find out what went wrong with the Budweiser Chevrolet driven by Terry Labonte. We'll be right back with more of our live coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500.
It runs with a beauty, an inner strength, a force that sets it apart. Thunderbird Turbo Coupe. Run with it.
I'm Duke. This is my car. These are my people. This is my cookie. And this is my oil filter. Purelated. Why purelated? Because they invented the oil filter. So they know how to make them right. And my people can learn from my noble example. Cookie, she don't care. She goes with me because I'm a legend. But
you got your pure oil, now you got your pure oil later. Pure and later oil filters.
Explosive. Get the biggest stories from the fastest tracks with Bob Jenkins and Larry Newber host ESPN Speed Week. Thursday nights at 7:30 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Quick Max are brought to you by new Quaker State with QSX. Keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
You've all heard us at ESPN talk about how important pit stops are, be it a 2-tire or 4-tire change. Probably the most critical pit stop is not a stop at all. It's called the gas and go. Here's what happens. Late in the race, the car is running low on fuel. The crew must get the car on and off pit road in a couple of seconds and splash in some fuel. The car comes rolling down pit road. An acrobatic gas man raises this 80-pound gas can. He must do a target shoot. He must hit a moving target with this 3-inch nozzle. Splash in a gallon or two, 3 or 4 seconds, the car is away. If done properly, it's truly spectacular.
He's got a 20-second lead. White flag is out.
Labonte has not come past the start line yet. Still looking for Terry Labonte.
The fuel in.
The gas and go pit stop could be the difference between winning and losing here today.
Well, the gas and go pit stop will be coming up a little bit later. Meanwhile, regular pit stops are going to be coming up within the next 15 laps or so. And if we don't go yellow here, it'll be the first pit stops that have been made under green, and that could be very interesting. Now, Dick Berggren is back with Richard Childress, hopefully with some working equipment. Dick Berggren.
Yeah, I hope so, too, because I'm real interested in what Richard Childress has to say about how you're running and how you see the other teams.
Right now, we got our car fixed from the push we had earlier. Bill Elliott's still running real good. Seems like our car works better after we run 30 or 40 laps on the tires, but Bill might be just a little stronger when he's new.
What will you do on the next pit stop, and how soon will it come?
Well, we'll make another tire adjustment. I think we got the chassis about right, and we're probably looking somewhere about 60, 62 laps on a run.
That's Richard Childress. He's crew chief for Earnhardt. Earnhardt is hooked up well this afternoon.
As he almost always has been in Winston Cup competition this year. There's the interval between first and second. Dale with maybe a second and a half advantage over Bill Elliott. And then Elliott still being followed by Davey Allison.
Bob, everybody has to make 2 more stops. We're at lap 211, as you commented. It looks like we're between laps 220 and 225 to stop. Another 65 laps or so on top of that puts us up to about 290. The race is going to go 328, so there are 2 more stops. Everybody's got a little bit of a cushion. Dale swinging through the turns there on the west end of this racetrack. You can see the late afternoon shadows down here in the deep southeast, lengthening as he comes down turn 3 and 4. It'll be interesting if they have to pit under green, because remember, there's an unproven crew doing the work for, at least unproven together, Bill Elliott.
All right, Benny Parsons, Alan Kulwicki, and Joe Ruttman. 8th, 9th, and 10th right here. Just ahead, Harry Gant in the 33 car, and Bobby Allison, 6th place in the 22 Miller American Buick.
The top 10 is very competitive. I know there have not been as many lead changes as as there used to be in Winston Cup or Grand National Stock Car Racing, but the top 10 guys have really stayed close together, and there have been several heartwarming stories in the top 10. Benny Parsons, Bobby Allison right there, and Harry Gant are three of the more warming stories. They needed good races, and they've had them today.
Action continues on the racetrack. And Ricky Rudd is in the pits. We were going to mention that Darrell Waltrip has also come in for another stop, but here is Ricky Rudd, 4th place, before he came in for this stop. And this is perhaps the beginning of the series of pit stops that we're going to see, perhaps one of the earliest to come in for service.
Yeah, I don't think they were quite as happy with the setup of the car, maybe the tire selection they had, or the way they had jacked the weight around, as they were in the earlier laps of this race. So Whitmore decided to bring Ricky in a little earlier maybe than the other leaders. He's thinking there will be no yellow flags. Everybody will have to stop under green, so let's bring in Ricky now, because we're not totally happy with the setup.
Look at Benny Parsons, how he uses that high line in the 3rd and 4th turns. Now he moves to the inside down the straightaway, passes Harry Gant, and picks up 7th position. And Alan Kowicki is right there making a bid on Harry Gant for 8th position.
Great competition there inside the top 10.
And Rick Wilson is back out onto the racetrack, although he's running very slowly on the apron of the track. He's out there collecting Winston Cup points. Now Benny Parsons about to challenge and passing easily Bobby Allison. And now Dale Earnhardt's crew is getting ready for a stop, and here comes Dale. Let's go to Dick Berggren as he calls this very important pit stop for Dale Earnhardt.
Bob Jenkins, it is a critical pit stop for Dale Earnhardt. It'll be a right side tire change. He's parked the car close to the wall so his crew doesn't have to go very far. He's also pointing at dirt on the windshield he wants to have clean. They are watching very, very carefully everything about this automobile. You are watching the world's best pit crew 3 years in a row. They're even listening to the exhaust system, listening for a miss, and there goes Earnhardt. There is no miss. 18 seconds, another fine Dale Earnhardt pit stop.
These guys are good. Earnhardt is back out. Bill Elliott, meanwhile, heads for pit road. So is Alan Kowicki. He's in. Let's watch Bill Elliott stop.
Bill Elliott, the winner of 8 poles in 1987 and the winner of 5 races. Add him up, he's had 13 first places, a high water mark for any year in Winston Cup racing. Bill Elliott, a team that has come out of the shadows of the last 5 seasons to become one of the premier ones of the 1980s in NASCAR.
The familiar movement of Joey Knuckles there at the front end of the car that we saw so much in the 87 season while he was the crew chief with Davey Allison. He's changing the tires on the front of the car for Bill Elliott, at least the right front. And Earnhardt goes around Elliott, and Bill pulls right up into position again. No, Allison is going to be able to scoot by.
Davey is the leader right now simply because he has not pitted, but Dale Earnhardt has picked up the extra ground on the racetrack.
Here comes Davey.
Compared to Bill Elliott. Now Davey will make his stop. He'll try to get out before the other leaders come around, but it is going to be a tough assignment to get that one done.
Davey Allison moves the Haviland Ford down pit road and gets set for his, what should be second to last pit stop of the race. Stops the car right on the money, overshot just a little bit. The crew going to work. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Doug Richard is the front tire man on this automobile. David Ift is the rear tire man. They're going to change right side tires. This will be the strategy everybody's going to do. Right side tire change. Tires are essentially done. They're going to bolt them up. A little problem getting them all bolted up, and off he goes with 16.1. Good pit stop, all in all, for Davey Allison.
Sure was. He goes back out onto the racetrack. Here comes Bill Elliott. There goes Dale Earnhardt. And it looks like that Allison may fall into 3rd position just as he was before the pit stop. He's positioned himself ahead of Bill Elliott, but there goes Elliott to the outside. And the middle of the backstretch, Elliott goes into 2nd, but Davey is right there with 3rd. There is Bill Parsons bringing the Skoll car in. He was shown as the leader that last lap because everybody else had come in, and now here's Bill Parsons for a stop.
Well, what a great day it would be for Bill Parsons if he could sneak in a top 5 here at season's end. It would mean a lot to this team's entire effort and attitude over the winter months as they get ready. Maybe I should call it the brief winter weeks. There's no such thing as winter months anymore in Winston Cup stock car racing. But Parsons could really stand a nice finish here to wrap up 87.
Brother Benny Parsons leads the Atlanta Journal 500. He inherited the lead because of the pit stops, but is going to lead another lap here. Benny Parsons picks up a few extra Winston Cup points for leading this event.
Keep in mind, even if we go mostly green for the rest of this race, nobody's going to have any problems on fuel because we're well inside of that window. 100 miles from the end of that race is 262 laps. And everybody's going to have to stop one more time, and that's only 40 laps away. So there'll be no fuel problems today unless somebody decides to risk it and maybe not fill up all the way.
Second place battle is just as furious as it was before the pit stops. And here comes Benny Parsons, the leader of the race, in for his service. Stopping the Folgers-sponsored Chevrolet. Windshield being wiped off, the gas being put in, and the rubber being changed on the right side of the car. Take a look at the left side and decide everything is okay there, and Benny Parsons roars back into competition.
Benny Parsons, last win right here in Atlanta, 1984.
Second, third, Bill Elliott, Davey Allison. Dale Earnhardt, the leader, that far ahead of Elliott and Davey Allison. 223 circuits have been completed. The average speed of the race, 132.7.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
Driving down the highway, always on the move. When you're driving with Big A, you know the road ahead is smooth.
Your local Big A Auto Parts store has the parts you need when you need them. At Big A, we know that if the parts are made right, they'll perform right. That's the Big A reputation.
Riding with Big A, you know the road is running smooth.
Big A, the first letter in auto parts.
Xerox, the antifreeze that beats winter. Available now.
Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, oh so close.
Medicated Noxzema Shave Cream. Feel the comfort. Feel the closeness.
That Noxzema, feel it, feel it, oh so close.
A tradition of horsepower. For the second consecutive year, Budweiser racing teams captured 3 national championships. Bobby Rahal in the Bud Indy car. Kenny Bernstein in the Budweiser King. And Jim Kropfeld in Miss Budweiser. It's a tradition of horsepower that keeps Budweiser ahead of the pack. Racing fans,
101 more laps to go. That's how close the competition is. Earnhardt, Elliott, and Davey Allison are right together on the racetrack. Terry Labonte among those who ran up front. He's out of the race. Jerry Punch is with him.
Well, a tough afternoon for Terry Labonte, driver of the Budweiser Chevrolet. And Terry, what happened?
Well, Jerry, I think a piece of the starter gear came off and came through the bell housing and made the engine start vibrating real bad. We're going to try to knock the rest of it off and see if it'll quit vibrating and go back and run.
What we're looking at here is a piece of metal that's about 4 inches from his feet and legs. And Terry, a hot piece of metal came up and punched a hole in this thing right at your feet there. So that's a pretty close call.
Well, it was. You know, we've got a scatter shield there on the floorboard where nothing can come in the car like that. So it did its job. You know, it was awful close.
Terry Labonte out of it here at Atlanta.
12 cars are on the lead lap. Earnhardt, Elliott, Davey Allison. 4th is Ricky Rudd. 5th is Phil Parsons. Harry Gant runs 6th. Benny Parsons 7th. In 8th position is Rusty Wallace. 9th is Bobby Allison. And 10th is Kyle Petty. Going on to 11th, Joe Ruttman. 12th position is the number 7 car of Alan Kowicki. Then a lap down at 13th is Sterling Marlin. 14th is Larry Pearson. 15th is Buddy Baker. And 16th is Bobby Hillen Jr. Dick Berggren.
Well, Bob Jenkins says it's usually the case in a big league auto race. Tires are turning out to be a big story here at Atlanta. This is a scuff. This is a tire that's been run a few laps, and ordinarily the crews put together a set of 4 of these tires that are absolutely perfect match for the last pit stop for the last run to the checkered flag. Nobody's going to do that here. Here's what they're going to run instead. These are called sticker tires. They're brand new tires. They've never been run before. Why are they doing that? Because new tires run so much faster here at Atlanta, unlike other racetracks, that it's even more important to use new ones. So the key is, how many of these sticker tires are left? Goodyear says about 40 in their bin, but there's lots of guys going up and down pit road. Theoretically, there should be no problem, but we're going to keep a close eye on this. Tires are key.
Less than 100 laps to go. First, second, and third, nose to tail.
Historically, Atlanta has been a little more abrasive on tires. 2 factors for that. The turns are so long here, and the car is so close to being out of shape. Plus, the compound that they used to originally pave this racetrack seems to be more gritty on the tires than other racetracks.
Davey Allison and Bill Elliott came very close to running into each other coming off the turn number 2, but nothing happened. Now the leaders begin to work some of the slower traffic. They are lapping Alan Kulwicki, who is running 12th, and so there are now only 11 cars on the lead lap. Less than 100 laps to go at Atlanta International Raceway.
Got a Ranger and it fits my style. On road, off road, mile after mile. Lots of power under the hood. Having fun, looking good.
Ford Ranger. It's hot on the trail, cool on the street. Ranger takes you where the action is, day or night.
Having fun, looking good.
Now get $500 cash bonus on all new Ford Rangers.
Makita, the cordless power tool system more professionals use to work around the house, or even build one. Makita, it's all the power you need.
Feel it, oh so close.
Medicated Noxzema Shave Cream. Feel the comfort. Feel the closeness.
It's Noxzema, feel it, oh so close.
Bob Strange, BF Goodrich test engineer.
The trick to building great all-terrain tires is making them as good off-road as on. All-terrain TAs from BF Goodrich are tested in some of the roughest off-road situations in the world. I believe TA radials are the best performance tires in the world, and I torture them to keep them that way.
TA radials from BF Goodrich, tested tough to make your truck perform.
You just can't find racing better anywhere. There is Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, and Davey Allison in their first, second, and third, separated by only a few feet after 235 circuits around this 1.5-mile racetrack at Atlanta. Allison now looks inside of Bill Elliott coming down the straightaway. Allison will try to pull alongside into turn number 1. He may have the position. Nope, Bill hangs on to it by a thread.
They each have to make their own calculating decisions, their own chess master decisions for themselves. As the two of them run side by side, it gives Earnhardt an advantage to pull away. Should Elliott move up to the long side of Dale Earnhardt, will give Davey an opportunity. What Davey has to do is dispose of Bill quickly if he has the advantage. He seems to have the advantage. As long as he runs side by side to Bill, Dale has an advantage, and Bill holds on.
Davey had second spot for about 3/4 of a lap, but Elliott retook the position and now looks like in a challenging mode for Dale Earnhardt. Boy, what a way to wrap up the Winston Cup season. We've seen competition, of course, like this in every race we've telecast, and it couldn't be better here at Atlanta.
It took Bill and Davey about 15 green flag laps to catch Dale, and Dale is running dirt track style. It took them about 15 laps to catch up, and keep in mind the perspective that Richard Toby said, our car seems to work a little better after about 20, 30 green flag laps. Maybe after 20 or 30 green flag laps, the It's not going to be working good enough.
Elliott inside of Earnhardt, out of turn 2, down the backstretch. Earnhardt in the Chevy, Elliott in the Ford. Let's see what happens going into 3. They go in there side by side, 2 deep, door handle to door handle. Elliott inches ahead by just a touch. They touch. Elliott wiggles just a little. Here comes Davey Allison to the inside. He takes over second for the moment. Now cleanly passes Bill and Elliott second.
Bill was just too loose, lost lots of inertia coming around 3 and 4. Now Davey, a couple laps ago, showed that he felt he was stronger than Elliott. Now he's got his own opportunity to go after Earnhardt, but Elliott is not giving up either. He is going to try the inside, perhaps, of Davey as they go into turns 3 and 4 this time around.
Let's take a look at what happened last lap when Elliott was low and Earnhardt high, and how Bill got just a little out of shape, and it cost him.
A little bit out of shape, but look at the level of confidence on both of their behalves. Dale saw he could probably hear Bill getting a little bit out of control on his inside, but he had such confidence in Bill's ability to recover that race car. Dale held his line. He did not make any jerky motions and try and dart away from the sliding Bill Elliott. A remarkable compliment between the two of them, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott.
We are set up for what could be an outstanding finish. In fact, perhaps a photo finish. You don't hear that very much in Winston Cup racing. You know, use it in horse racing, of course, but there is a camera to record the winner. Here's a track back. This track back is brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
We've all seen the instant replay used in the NFL. Did the receiver make the catch, or was he bobbling the ball on the way out of bounds? How about the running back? Was the fumble before or after the whistle? Well, now instant replay comes to NASCAR. A video camera set up at the start-finish line photographs every single lap, and most importantly, the finish. For example, at Rockingham a few weeks ago, a Busch Grand National show, last lap. Here is Jeff Bodine on the inside, Morgan Shepherd on the outside. They come across the line. Who won it? NASCAR director Dick Beatty says, I don't know. He phones down to Timmy Arp, who runs the video camera back frame by frame. Now take a look. Here they come. Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepherd. And Shepherd wins it by a scant 2 inches. No longer a photo finish. It's a video finish here in NASCAR.
That camera could very definitely possibly be used at the finish of this Atlanta Journal 500. We'll be right back with more.
If you own a house, you got to own a shop vac. This baby's got the power to pick up almost anything.
Got broken glass, nails, or wood chips? The shop vac gobbles up stuff that would kill an ordinary vacuum. And a shop vac retro can even vacuum water like a flooded basement. The washing machine is flooding the house.
Every house needs a shop vac. Starting at under $50, a shop vac is heavy duty, not heavy money. And remember, if it doesn't say shop vac, keep shopping.
A smart do-it-yourselfer's game plan includes a run to a True Value hardware store. And while you're there, check out the assortment of Tuck adhesive tapes for a variety of chores around the home. Their masking tape seals packages tightly for moving or storage, and it's a big help at painting time. Then rely on energy-saving Tuck duct tape to seal costly air leaks or make important last-minute repairs. Pick up a roll of Tuck adhesive tape at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
It takes quick hands, quick skates, and quick thinking to play one of the fastest games on 2 feet. And the excitement is fast and furious, too. Dennis Savard leads the Chicago Blackhawks against Luke Robitaille and the Los Angeles Kings. Live Wednesday night at 11 Eastern on the ESPN.
Continues raging back and forth. Elliott and Dale Earnhardt side by side. Elliott has taken the lead for the moment, passing completely now Dale Earnhardt as they go down the backstretch. Elliott has the lead. Earnhardt now goes to second, and Davey Allison is in third. And Bill, just a couple of laps ago, was third. We go back and show you how he took second from Davey.
There's Bill going to the inside of Davey down the backstretch. Davey had just passed him about 7 or 8 laps ago, and Bill just turns in a very consistent lap. He's very smooth, keeps the car going straight, and that is exactly how he got Dale Earnhardt on that last lap. Well, I got to tell you, as I'm watching this race, it makes me grin. This is a race driver's race. These 3 top cars are fairly evenly matched right now. It's real impossible to tell if one is better than the other. Normally I'm watching a race, and I have the feeling that somebody is in control, and another race driver is either really flagging hard to get caught up, and somebody else is setting back. But I think that these 3 cars right now are performing very close to one another. This is a race driver's race. Remember, it's a race driver's track, too.
While we watch this battle rage, we'll once again allow you to hear the director's command, Mike Wells, as he shows us the pictures that make up our coverage of this Winston Cup race.
Ready, camera 1. Take 1. Zoom to the second car on 1. Ready, camera 3 on both cars. Ready, 3. Take 3. Now zoom out and show me the 3rd car behind him, the last car in your frame, 28, crossing the start-finish line right now. That's who you'll go with. Go with him. 28 Alice. Switch on in. Preset camera 5 will show all 3 of them. That's right. Ready, 5. Ready, 5. Take 5. Now go with the 3 Wrangler car, Earnhardt, second place. Ready, 1. Take 1. Ready, 6 on Ernie Elliott. It's Dan Elliott. Ready, 6. Take 6. Ready to dissolve 3 on car 9. Dissolve 3.
Clear, Brad.
Go with him on 3. Preset 5. Ready, camera 5, a little wider. Ready, camera 5. Accident on pit road. Accident on pit road. Ready, camera 2. Take 2. Where is it?
All right, Kyle Petty and Greg Sachs have had a collision on pit road. And let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, fortunately, it was not a serious collision. Kyle Petty was just coming in for a pit stop as Greg Sachs was backing up, heading to go behind pit wall. And as Petty came in, Sachs hit him. Just slight contact, but it could have been enough to knock the front end out on Petty's car. Sachs now coming behind pit wall. No crewman injured. That's the key thing. Nobody was hurt here.
All right, Kyle Petty moves back out onto the racetrack. He was running in 10th position when he came in, and there's Greg Sachs, who has moved his car behind pit wall. The lead, meanwhile, Bill Elliott in command of this race.
Davey Allison has not disappeared, but he's really gotten off of the pace, Bob. I can only guess that it's a matter of perhaps overheating the tires. It was quite a spirited race, and all the slipping and sliding that Bill Elliott did. I'm really surprised that he doesn't have the same problem with tires.
Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd in 4th position seems to be closing on Davey Allison, so we could have a battle shaping up for that spot. Back in Atlanta in a moment.
Man has always been fascinated with speed. But winning is more than a quest for speed. It's a measure of skill, a test of guts. And though NASCAR has changed through the decades, its spirit never will. It's not just the machine, it's the man who drives it. We're proud to be a part of this great sport. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR.
Bill Elliott leads the Atlanta Journal 500 with 254 laps completed. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
We're with the senior member of the Elliott gang, the Elliott brothers, Ernie. And Ernie, you were smiling a little bit. I think Bill must have turned the wick up just a little bit when he went by Dale a minute ago.
Yeah, it's getting close to the end of the race. You know, it's getting close to show and tell time.
But you haven't shown everything you've got to tell right now, have you?
Well, I don't know. He's been running pretty hard. We're just, you know, I think everybody's still feeling each other out, trying to come up with the right setup for the end of the race. But You know, on this racetrack, handling is so critical. If you're not exactly right, you can be a half a second off. And I think that's mainly what we're looking for right now.
Bill said he was running awfully slow behind Dale in the corners. Your car seems to run so much better in the corners than Earnhardt.
Well, the car is running real good in the corners. You know, that's where you gotta run here, because this racetrack is like a mile straightaway and a mile corners and a mile straightaway, and so if you ain't getting through the corner, you're not getting anywhere.
Well, it remains to be seen whether Bill Elliott has shown everything he has. I tend to believe he hasn't. He's got a little bit left, saving it for a few more laps yet.
Did you see Speed Week a week ago when we showed you how 60,000 people showed up for an open house at the Elliott shops? Incredible for a 400 populated town. It's awesome.
They were prepared for like, what, 20,000 over a 2-day period.
Elliott continues to lead, has stretched out the advantage on Dale Earnhardt by quite a margin. Perhaps we can get a stopwatch on the interval between first and second, but at the moment, Bill is streaking away from everybody else.
The psychology is very interesting, Bob, how at a certain point in the race, here we are, 250 laps into a 325, a rounded off lap race. All of a sudden, one man who senses that he has a superior car says, okay, now is the time. I want to show something right now. As Jerry mentioned, you've got to save a little bit for the end, but I want to show these guys before this last pit stop just how good the pit stop has got to be, and they better make some changes on the race car or they're not going to be able to keep up with me in the final stages. That's really the message that Ernie and Dan and Bill are sending to everybody else. Hey, you guys can't get by with what you got. You're going to make some changes. They're hoping the changes might make the other cars go backward even more.
Bill Elliott is putting laps on drivers that he has not put a lap on previous. We'll get the clock going here and get the interval between first and second. It is 3.6 seconds. He has passed Rusty Wallace, who's 9th. He has passed Phil Parsons, who was 8th, and he has passed Benny Parsons, who was 7th. So 6 cars on the lead lap. Kirk Shelmerdine, the crew chief on the Dale Earnhardt car. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Kirk, you were right in the battle for a while, and now you're slipping back. What's happening?
Well, we're still fooling with the chassis there. We got him going pretty good there for a while. And then we got into these green pit stops. We only changed 2 at a time, so we got to guess at that a little bit now.
What is your problem? Are you pushing? Are you loose? Can you adjust it on the next stop?
It goes up and down, just a little bit of both. It doesn't take much one way or the other to slow you down.
So what will you do on the next stop? What's your strategy, and when will it come?
Well, we got to take a guess here and see if the race is going to go green the whole rest of the way, or if we're going to have another caution again. We've got to have the car set pretty close to the middle for either situation.
Okay, a lot of strategy going on here in Earnhardt's tap. They've got to catch up. They've got to pick up some speed on the next stop.
Very soft-spoken young man, Kirk, but he knows what he's doing as crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. 67 laps remain in this contest. Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd all have a shot of it, and so does Bobby Allison, who is in 5th position. There's the leader, Bill Elliott. We're going to take another break and be right back with more from the Atlanta Journal 500. Stay with us.
Fancy perfumey aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback's locker.
Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva, man.
Look for Aqua Velva Christmas gift sets.
Hey, this trip I'll get this travel tote free. And just in time.
Budget Rent-A-Car announces free Pierre Cardin luggage for frequent flyers.
Love this garment bag. Just a few more trips and I'll get another one. For my husband.
The more you rent from Budget, the more luggage you get free.
I travel a lot.
So we got this whole set in no time.
Now, in addition to fine cars at low rates, frequent flyers have 9 more reasons to frequent Budget. Call for details.
Xerox, the antifreeze that beats winter. Available now.
Back at Atlanta International Raceway, where Dale Earnhardt is about 5 seconds now behind Bill Elliott, who's the leader of this race. He's only up about another 1.5 seconds just in the last couple of laps. So Elliott in command of the race at the moment. We're going to give you our field summary. There's the leader, Bill Elliott. Now we're going to pan back and pick up the other competitors that are still running out there on the racetrack. Next will be Kyle Petty in car number 21. He's been in a couple of times just recently for unscheduled pit stops.
They've had a good season. They got a shot at being on the winner's circle, as we mentioned earlier in this show. They will be back intact. Team sponsor colors, driver owner for 1988. Every year, Kyle Petty does seem to get just a little better, and maybe someday he'll be one of the consistent front runners. I'm talking the first 3 positions in Winston Cup racing.
Again, this is the way they're running on the racetrack, not the order in which they're running at the moment. Benny Parsons in car number 35, looking forward to a great season next year with Judy Donlevy.
Benny Parsons will move on. Rick Hendrick will remain in Winston Cup racing in a very big way. Kenny Schrader is destined to be his primary driver next year, but Benny, full season in '88.
Bill Parsons drives the Skoll machine number 55 and is currently in the top 10.
The trick for Phil in 1987 has been finishing races, and today he just may be en route to doing one. He'll get a big top 10.
Two-time winner in Winston Cup in 1987 on-road courses, Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace, who came out of Midwest late model racing, has really emerged in 1987. There are those who feel he could be the next Dale Earnhardt. And speaking of which,
second place Earnhardt, 11 wins in 1987 and the Winston Cup champion.
More than just wins, he has dominated this season, period.
The number 15 car, driven by Ricky Rudd, is next on the racetrack, and he is 4th.
4th place in today's race, and I still stand by my earlier comment that all things considered, crashes, crew, cooperation, so on, I think he may have had the 3rd best season of all.
Davey Allison, 3rd place at the moment in the Haviland Ford, and Davey also looking forward to a full Winston Cup schedule in '88.
Right now, Robert Yates, the master engine builder, is being shown as his crew chief, but they expect to be a force to be reckoned with, along with people like Wallace next year.
Brad Teague from Johnson City, Tennessee, in the Slender U Figure Salon Oldsmobile.
24th fastest qualifier here this week in a stout performance in qualifying. This is a harbinger of things to come for next year. They will run the full season in one season.
Guy that threaded the needle in a crash earlier today, Alan Kowicki in car 7.
Ronnie Phillips has taken over as crew chief as John Young, as we mentioned earlier, has moved on. Kowicki also returns with this same team and sponsors for next year in his Ford.
Joe Ruttman in a fine substitute performance for the injured Neil Bonnet.
Butch Mock and Bob Rahilly in this car at one point in the season had a real clean shot at being 3rd in points, but they'll finish outside of the top 10. That is, unless Kenny Schrader doesn't catch them because he dropped out early in today's race.
Continuing our field summary is the number 28 car of Davey Allison comes in for a pit stop. There's H.B. Bailey on the racetrack, and here is Davey Allison in the pits. It's early for a scheduled stop.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you what, we are inside the window. Lap 262 indicated that there are 100 miles to go. So this stop will be enough. If we go green the rest of the race, Davey, unless he's really burning up petrol, will not have to stop again. He's coming as early as he can because they wanted to make some changes on the car.
Oh, a crash on the backstretch.
Oh, and what an advantage this is going to be for Elliott and Earnhardt.
It's Larry Pearson in car number 16 who has crashed on the backstretch. The car is against the outside wall near the end of the backstretch.
Boy, this is very interesting. It'll be intriguing to find out whether or not Davey loses a lap to Bill and Dale because of this. That is possible. We just won't know until NASCAR checks all of its scoring tapes, but Davey Allison may lose a lap here.
Larry Pearson has got the car headed in the right direction, is on the apron, headed for pit road. And Larry Pearson, we had in 13th position, 2 laps down when that crash occurred. There is Harold Kinder waving the yellow, and again we'll reiterate that Davey Allison could very well have lost a lap because of the bad timing, his pit stop, and the caution flag.
And worth repeating, we are inside of the final 100-mile window. Everybody can come in now, get all the fuel and change all the tires, make all the adjustments they want, and they can go the distance. Of course, another advantage that everybody would have had is the car will be considerably lighter at the end of the race because they would be very low on fuel, but with plenty enough to go the distance.
While Davey may have suffered a disadvantage because of that, Bobby Allison was about to go a lap down, but now will not. Here's Jerry Punch.
Bill Elliott brings the Chorus Ford in for a pit stop, what should be the final stop of the day here at Atlanta Raceway. Joey Knuckles puts the right front tire on. Dale Earnhardt is in likewise. Almost all the leaders are on pit road, and everyone should get 4 tires. Here's Bill Elliott getting left side tires now as Knuckles and the crew had the left side of the car on the jack. fuel, one can of fuel in, second can of fuel now going in the Elliott car. Earnhardt is down and away. Now Elliott's car is down and away. Good pit stop for both the leaders.
Now I noticed, Bob, that Davey came in a second time. So maybe Robert Yates and Harry Ranier and crew think that he did not lose a lap and he could afford to come in one more time.
Final pit stops have been made. Should we go green the rest of the way with 272 laps completed? We're yellow because of an accident involving Larry Pearson.
See this long row of junkers? It's not too tough a road for the famous Ford Bigfoot, but can a regular Ford 4x4 drive over it carrying a Chevy? Watch as the Ford starts to claw over the twisted metal. Only Ford has twin traction beam front suspension, and this year only Ford has a complete line of multi-port fuel-injected engines. Yes, the Ford makes it over the torture road and joins its big brother. Ford, the best-selling pickup in the world.
Now get $500 cash bonus on all new F-Series pickups with manual transmission.
In communities across America, there's a working spirit. People working together with a feeling of pride. Where that feeling exists, there's Dickies Work Clothes. America, it still works. Dickies, the brand it works in. Dickies, made with Celanese Fortrell polyester.
You are about to see the smartest oil change you can make. Introducing a new Quaker State motor oil. Now Quaker State has a revolutionary formula called QSX. QSX fights engine choking sludge better than other leading oils to keep oil flowing to vital engine parts. For a cleaner, longer-lasting engine, change your oil. Really change your oil to new Quaker State with QSX, the smartest oil change you can make.
At Braun, we believe simple is better than complicated. Order is better than confusion. Quiet is better than loud. Only through superior design can one achieve superior performance. It is this philosophy that has helped make Braun the #1 selling foil shaver in the world. What's also helped is that no other shaver gives you a closer shave. Braun, now available in America.
We're back in Atlanta, where Bill Elliott is going to be the leader of the race and Dale Earnhardt second. And the bad news for Davey Allison is that he did indeed lose a lap when he came in for a pit stop, and then almost immediately the caution went on because of Larry Pearson's spin on the backstretch. We indicated earlier how good we thought the crowd was, and it's even better than we anticipated. The crowd estimate is 70,000 for the final race of the Winston Cup season here at Atlanta. So we remain under yellow as the race is now 274 laps old. We'll be right back with more of our live coverage.
Only a hunter knows the true exhilaration of his sport, the beauty of the land, the test of his skill, the challenge of competition. Hunting is an American tradition and an American freedom. We're working to protect that freedom. We're the National Rifle Association. You can help by calling now, 1-800-422-8900. For just $20, you'll receive the privileges and benefits of NRA membership, including 12 exciting issues of the American Hunter or American Rifleman magazine, $600 gun theft insurance, $10,000 accidental death and dismemberment insurance, your official NRA membership card and window decal, plus NRA's official camouflage thermos. Call right now and receive NRA's 1988 Sportsman's Premium Pack, loaded with valuable discounts and rebates on hunting, shooting, and sporting equipment. Call now, join the NRA, and help preserve our hunting traditions.
Wednesday, the North American Heavyweight Championship. Orla Norris challenges champion Larry Alexander when Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing. Live Wednesday night on the ESPN.
We remain under caution, so we'll review our pit stops most recently. Bill Elliott went in first position, came out in the lead. Dale Earnhardt maintained the same, but look at Davey Allison. He came in third, lost a lap, drops to 8th. Ricky Rudd in 4th, out 3rd. Bobby Allison really made a great move as he was able to stay ahead of Bill Elliott and remain on the lead lap. He went into the pits in 6th, comes out 4th on the lead lap. Those 4 cars, by the way, the only cars on the lead lap now. And Harry Gant lost 3 positions during the pit stops.
What different fortunes for the two Allisons. Sort of like the last Supreme Court Justice nominee and the next one. Davey Giving on the short end of the stick and Bobby on the long end of the stick.
It's been such a great race for Davey Allison. It's unfortunate that that hadn't happened, but maybe he can make the lap up. He's still got, 25, about 53 laps or so to go. The green comes out on lap 276, and Rusty Wallace moves to the inside along with Denny Parsons as they try to get a lap back. But the leaders, Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, streak away and head for a more leading situation, I guess.
I know that Bill and Dale usually but I think back to Ricky Rudd in the spring. This is how he won the race. Now, this is not as late as a yellow as he had in the spring, but Bud Moore made the correct changes and the correct adjustments in terms of the tire setup. He was in a superior car when he came out after a late pit stop. Well, history repeated itself.
Davey Allison is running in that group there and isn't doing too bad a job, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him if he's going to pick up the lost lap. Let's go to Dick Berggren for a report on the Ricky Rudd story. He's 3rd.
Well, Bud Moore, you guys have been running real well, then you fell off the pace. What did you do on the pit stop?
Well, you know, it's a little bit loose, so we changed 4 tires and made a chassis adjustment. So we hope we done the right thing, and look like we might got a real good shot to win it.
That's Bud Moore. He's crew chief for Rudd. Rudd has been in the thick of this thing all day. He won here in the spring. He could be the winner this afternoon.
No question about it. There is Ricky on the racetrack in 3rd position, right behind Dale Earnhardt.
In the last 8 starts on these mid-sized racetracks, Ricky Rudd has won twice. He also won at Dover. Doesn't have that great a season. He's had a lot of accidents and DNFs on mid-sized tracks, but he's among those who have won twice in this configuration.
4th car in line is Davey Allison as he tries to make up the lap. He's right behind Ricky Rudd.
Davey, of course, the winner at Dover. He was 2nd in the 2nd Dover race. He was 5th here in the spring in Atlanta.
Moving to the high side of Ricky Rudd coming down the straightaway. He passes Rudd.
But the biggest factor right now is that red, white trim, number 9. Nobody is catching him. He has a clear track in front of him, and he is streaking.
There he is down the backstretch. Again, he has opened up quite an advantage over Dale Earnhardt, who just doesn't seem to have what it's going to take to win this race today.
Right now, Bill Elliott looks like a shoe-in. Davey is the only other car on the racetrack that is able to run competitive with him. The green flag pit stop knocked him down a whole lot.
Look at Davey, though. He has caught and was just about to pass Dale Earnhardt there going into turn number 1, so that car is still working very well for him.
But the line is so important here. You saw Davey go in on the bottom side. He just didn't have the momentum, but boy, he made up for that quickly. Davey Allison driving his heart out. Moves into 2nd.
Bill Elliott has been turning laps of around 168 miles an hour here recently, and his qualifying speed was 174.3. So he's at almost qualifying speed here late in the event. Harry Gant, we understand, is going slowly through turns number 3 and 4 and headed to pit road, and Harry was in the top 10, running 10th when he dropped off the pace.
Yeah, I know it's not a finish, guys, and Hal Needham and Burt, but he did have a competitive day, and Harry made a lot more headlines today than he has many races this year, so come on back next year. I know you will.
Harry Gant moves the Skull Bandit behind pit road once again. So there's Bill Elliott, and he has about a 3-second advantage now on Dale Earnhardt in 2nd as we wind down in the Atlanta Journal 500, and we'll be right back.
getting there can be more than half the fun. Ford Escort GT. When you replace ordinary spark plugs with Bosch Platinum plugs, you may not notice the change immediately. The quicker starts, the smoother acceleration, the extra performance only pure Platinum delivers. So how long will it take you to notice the improvement Bosch Platinum plugs make? About that long. Available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores. Installed at most Precision Tune Centers.
Tonight here on ESPN at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, the NFL prime time, and then at 8 o'clock, live coverage of the Dallas Cowboys against the Miami Dolphins. Right after our race here this afternoon, we'll have the final round coverage of the Mikado Seniors Classic from Key Biscayne in Florida. That's coming up right after the checkered flag drops here on this Winston Cup race. And if the checkered were to drop at this moment, the 1987 Winston Cup season would end as it began with the win for Bill Elliott. Dick Berggren is with Harry Gant, who just dropped out.
And Harry, you managed to smile.
Well, you know, we had such bad luck. I really sort of figured we wouldn't finish no way, but I sure hoping we would.
You ran well today, though.
It ran pretty good. We were just down a lot on power. You know, I just had to draft all day, and it finally, I guess it broke a valve or something.
Harry Gant's dropped out of a bunch of them. This is the end of the season, and I bet he's glad to see this one over. Next year will be better.
Well, it can't be much worse for Harry Gant because he has suffered disappointments and bad luck throughout the season, and it ends with him beyond the pit wall once again.
Yeah, the year that Harry and Jeff Bodine have had is really beyond description. I still believe that both of them are very proficient as racers, and they should be better. I think next year is likely to be better easily for both of them. You know, Bob, we ran that promo a few moments ago about golf. I can remember a few years ago looking at the prize winnings for golfers over the course of a season and thinking, geez, race drivers really deserve to be up in that plateau. And you know, they have caught up. There have been over 29 drivers that have won more than $100,000 in Winston Cup racing this year, and the number in IndyCar racing is 33.
Sixth place on the racetrack is Rusty Wallace in car number 27. Benny Parsons is right behind in 7th. And then Phil Parsons in car number 55. And both Parsons have run exceptionally well this afternoon.
And they went to the outside of somebody leaving off a lot of smoke. That was Ken Reagan. You see Ken Reagan being lapped on a number of occasions. Smoke was pouring out from the right wheel as he came down the pit lane. Don't exactly know what problem that was.
There you can see right ahead of Rusty Wallace is Ricky Rudd, who is the 3rd place driver at the moment. Ricky Rudd, a victory this year, and we talked to him a little bit earlier about the season and whether or not he considers it a good year.
Well, I'd have to say that we've had an awful good year with that Motorcraft 4 team. You know, we've been able to win 2 races this year, and we had one at Riverside last week that, you know, that sort of slipped away from us a little bit. But it's been a good year, and then it's also been a year that we'd like to finish up a little higher in the points. I think the point standings don't really do justice for this team the way we've run all year.
And again, Ricky Rudd will be joining the Kenny Bernstein team for 1988.
Yeah, Bob, we asked him about that, and honestly, I really do respect his stand on that. He is trying to improve and grow in this type of racing. He recognizes that he can stay with Bud Moore. There's a very solid team. He's very proud of his accomplishments with Bud. But he's trying to grow a little further in the sport. And he knows that there's the potential there for Bud. He has an opportunity to go with Kenny Bernstein and maybe bring along a program that is not necessarily his own, but maybe one that he can make part of his own. So Ricky has made a calculated move of leaving a historically significant car owner and racing team in this type of racing. And sure, economics play a small part in it, but I don't think it was the major part. And Ricky Rudd is doing one of the most interesting things I've seen done in a long time by a Southerner.
Bill Elliott leads. Earnhardt is 2nd, Rudd 3rd, Bobby Allison 4th. A lap down is Davey Allison, then Alan Kulwicki, Rusty Wallace, Benny Parsons, Phil Parsons, and Joe Ruttman is in 10th, a lap down. And interval now. Davey Allison is behind Bill Elliott, but still there's quite a bit of racetrack between the two. There's an interval, and it's about a second and a half, or 1.6 seconds. And Davey is not in second position, although he is right behind Bill. He is a lap down, having lost it, but he came in for a pit stop, and the caution flew almost immediately.
Davey Allison attempting to catch Bill Elliott. Davey Allison, whose number is being wind blown off the left-hand side of the car, chasing that man right there, the banker of Winston Cup Racing. Bill Elliott, who has won over $1 million for 3 consecutive years, 1.2 seconds now, the interval between Bill and Davey.
He is definitely closing in on Bill Elliott. Once again, Davey Allison is among the fastest cars on the racetrack. If he can pass Bill, if he can get that lap back, and we have another caution, watch out for Davey Allison. He still is not out of this race by any stretch of the imagination. But 294 laps out of 328 have been completed as we continue our live coverage.
ESPN and Thrifty Car Rental World Tour Sweepstakes want to take you to Hawaii in February. 10 lucky couples will go to Honolulu for an all-expense-paid week of sun and fun, including tickets to the NFL Pro Bowl. To enter, watch NFL Primetime Sunday nights and NFL Monday nights to catch the winning slogan. Pick up your entry form at participating Thrifty Car Rental locations or write the slogan on a card with your name and address and mail to World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 912, Ridgely, Maryland, 21683. If you're an ESPN and Thrifty Car Rental World Tour winner, Continental Airlines will fly you and a guest to Honolulu, where you'll enjoy a week of sun, surf, and Pro Bowl festivities. Whenever you travel, use Thrifty's convenient service in over 650 locations worldwide. Experience the driving luxury of Chrysler cars. Thrifty, near the airport, not near the price. So send your entry in today and join the World Tour in Hawaii. ESPN delivers hard-hitting action with NFL Monday. First, Monday Memories. Great games that have made Monday Night Football an American tradition. Then, the experts break down the coaches' game plans with an exclusive preview on the Zenith Monday Night matchup. Plus, Monday Night Magazine profiles the players in a final countdown to kickoff. Action as exciting as the game itself. NFL Monday at 7:30 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Just about 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and for those of you just joining us, we welcome you to the closing laps of the Atlanta Journal 500 final Winston Cup race of 1987. The situation is we have 4 cars that are on the lead lap. The leader is Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt is second, Ricky Rudd third, and Bobby Allison is fourth. Davey Allison a lap down in 5th position. Average speed of the race 36.4. We have had a couple of multi-car crashes in this race. The first occurred on lap number 33 when Cale Yarborough and Lake Speed were involved in a crash. Neither driver was injured. Then a multi-car tangle here on the main stretch on lap number 156 that knocked out Jeff Bodine and Richard Petty, among others. Aside from that, it's been a relatively clean race. 5 caution periods, however. And we have had 12 lead changes among 9 drivers, 5 caution periods for a total of 34 laps. And the margin now that Bill Elliott has over Dale Earnhardt is 6.8 seconds, and Bill has led 137 of the 300 laps that we have completed. Once again, we remind you at 8 o'clock tonight here on ESPN, live coverage of the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins NFL game.
Inside 50 miles to go now. You saw the graphic, 300 laps down. 28 to go, less than 50 miles. Davey Allison needs a yellow. He needs a yellow apparently just to catch Bill. He appears to be a little quicker on the racetrack right now, but you always have the situation in motor racing. A leader can control the intervals. You see the interval right there. The question is Davey moving in? Has he made a couple of small faux pas the last couple laps, which has slowed down the ascent? Or is Bill driving in the mirror and just keeping control of this race?
Has opened up a little bit between Bill Elliott and Davey Allison. And it would appear that Bill Elliott has things in control of this race. It will be, of course, Bill Elliott's 6th Winston Cup win of the year, should he go on to the victory.
Don't forget that second place in this race is Mr. Checkered Flag of 1987 Winston Cup Racing. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, we don't need to introduce him, but you can see how much of an advantage that Elliott has opened up over Bill Earnhardt. By the way, that's Alan Kowicki right behind him. He's been having a good race the last 30 or 40 laps. He's been running with the leaders, and they have not been leaving him.
Bill Elliott with things pretty much set for him next year. No major changes except for sponsorship. Motorcraft will be the main sponsor on the Bill Elliott car for 1988. A little bit different paint job, but still, of course, the Ford. With Bill continuing to pull away from everybody else, it would seem that Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd would like very much to see a yellow flag on the racetrack, not because of an accident, but maybe a blown engine or some kind of debris, as only 25 laps remain, so they can catch Bill again and perhaps do battle with him to the finish.
Since 1984, Elliott has won $617,000, $2,383,000, $1,049,000 in 1986, and again in 1987 over $1.1 million. Third year in a row over $1 million in winnings. In 1984, Davey Allison won 0. He didn't enter any Winston Cup races.
All right, we'll show you the top 10 as we have them at the moment, with the laps clicking down at Atlanta International Raceway. Elliott, Earnhardt, Rudd, Allison, and Allison are the top 5. 6 through 10, Kowicki, Wallace, Parsons, and Redmond.
Oakley here's filling in the ball tonight. Good luck, kid.
For 3 years, Bill Oakley took orders.
Okay. Tonight we need to fit up the shell plate, weld it out. Okay.
But tonight,
All the help we can get. Are you with me?
he's got to stand up and take charge.
You got to reach inside. You got to turn the tide. You are the power, the man of the hour. You got them on your side. You make America work.
Here's to you, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all the guys who know it's not what you say, but what you do.
This Bud's for you.
Bob Strange, B.F. Goodrich test engineer.
All week long I test tires. But on weekends, I drive race cars. In some ways, tire testing is just as tough. Comparing one tire with another takes precision driving. I believe TA Radios are the best performance tires in the world. And I punish them to keep them that way.
TA Radios of B.F. Goodrich. Tested tough to make your car perform.
From Atlanta International Raceway, we hope you're enjoying our coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500, which is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. By Xerox Antifreeze and Coolant, the antifreeze that beats winter. And by the makers of the CFA VCR College Bowl game. Part of the 70,000 that have gathered here to watch the Winston Cup season end for 1987, and they're watching Bill Elliott on his way to victory.
Bill Elliott, who will finish second in points in 1987, picking up a year-end bonus of $225,000 from R.J. Reynolds Winston brand cigarettes. Dale Earnhardt, as the champion, will win $400,000, and Terry Labonte appears to be headed toward third. He will win $145,000. Fourth place, probably the possession of Darrell Waltrip, $115,000. And fifth place, likely to Rusty Wallace, $85,000. Gets very interesting from there on back. Bobby Allison and Ricky Rudd have a chance of moving up and perhaps winning up around 60 grand.
There's Joey Knuckles talking with Ernie Elliott. Joey working on the Elliott crew today in substitution for the injured members. They're watching their driver maintain the lead. We sometimes run short at the close of our race, so we want to take time right now to say thank you to a lot of people, including NASCAR officials, Jeannie and Morris Metcalf, who always are in close communication with us when we do the scoring for these races. Les Richter and Dick Beatty are pretty much in control of the race from their control position. Harold Kinder, the official flagman for NASCAR, and John Fusco, who helps us in the garage area. All of the Winston Cup NASCAR people have just been super to us, and of course we don't want to forget about Bill France Sr. and Bill France Jr., who are at the top of the heap as far as NASCAR are concerned. Thank you, gentlemen, for your cooperation throughout the 1987 season. Let's go to Dick Berkman.
Well, as you watch Dale Earnhardt's crew, will tell you what, their problem is handling. The car has a push, and as we've said all day, this is a handling racetrack. Lou LaRosa and Kirk Shelmerdine, LaRosa the engine builder, Shelmerdine the crew chief. There's only one thing they can do now. They have simply got to get a yellow flag. If they get a yellow flag, they'll try to dial a little bit more, oversteer into the car, make it a bit more neutral, and have another run at it. Without a yellow flag, without something happening to Elliott, almost impossible for Earnhardt to catch up at this point.
Well, Lou LaRosa's record as an engine builder this year for Dale Earnhardt has been remarkable. Only 2 engine failures in the entire season, and that is definitely not the problem with Earnhardt this afternoon. It is handling that's causing him to fall behind Bill Elliott, who is the continuing leader.
As we come to a close here of the end of the 1987 season, a comment rather, about the mark of excellence. Of course, the main goal of everybody is to be champion, but points, dollars won, laps led, all those factors aside, every man who sits behind the wheel will tell you that the main goal and the absolute feeling of exhilaration in a race car is winning. And only 5 drivers have won at least one race now in the last 4 years on the Winston Cup Trail, the mark of excellence. Dale and Bill and Darrell, of course. The other 2, Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd.
We haven't talked too much this afternoon about the number 1 car, the Haas Ellington machine, the Bullseye Barbecue Chevrolet, driven by Brett Bodine, and he has big plans for 88.
Yeah, Bobby really does. Brett Bodine had looked like he was headed for an opportunity of running with Cale Yarborough, but he ended up signing with Bud Moore, joining one of the most legendary race teams and car owners in the history of NASCAR stock car racing. Brett Bodine will be running a full season for Bud under the sponsorship of Crisco with an associate from Motorcraft. And of course, the number will be 15.
Only 12 more laps to go. 316 laps have been completed. Jerry Punch with a comment.
You mentioned that Brett Bodine will be leaving the Haas Ellington ride. Well, an interesting situation has developed with Haas Ellington. His car will share a driver with Cale Yarborough's car. Dale Jarrett, who ran for Rookie of the Year this year and will come up short to Davey Allison in the rookie voting, will drive the Cale Yarborough car in 18 races next year. Cale will drive it 10. That'll be an Oldsmobile. Then, on the 10 races he doesn't drive for Cale, he'll get in it and drive the car number 1 for Haas Ellington. So an interesting situation. A young driver, Dale Jarrett, driving for 2 different car owners in the same season.
All right, thank you, Jerry. There's Bill Elliott once again clicking off another lap. 318 have now been completed. Race speed is 137.9. Elliott and Earnhardt's crews looking on.
If you own a house, you gotta own a shop vac. This baby's got the power to pick up almost anything.
Got broken glass, nails, or wood chips? Shop vac gobbles up stuff that would kill an ordinary vacuum. And a shop vac wet dry can even vacuum water like a flooded basement. The washing machine is flooding the house.
No.
Every house needs a shop vac. Starting at under $50, a shop vac is heavy duty, not heavy money. And remember, if it doesn't say shop vac, keep shopping.
said, send me the lease. Police!
End these mistakes in communication. From now on, don't just say it. Put your request on paper and send it on a Pitney Bowes facsimile machine. Your message is there, and the answer is back in seconds. We're Pitney Bowes. Think of us first in fax. For details, call 1-800-Mr. Bowes. That's 1-800-Mr. Bowes.
There are 8 laps to go with Bill Elliott still in command of this race. Dale Earnhardt second, Ricky Rudd third, then Bobby Allison and Davey Allison a lap down. We thank the NASCAR officials for their continuing support and cooperation during the 1987 season. We also want to take a moment to thank all of those people on the ESPN crews that come here and prepare the cameras and prepare everything that allows you to see the telecast of a race. We're talking about the cameramen, the spotters, the tape operators, the people who give you the graphics that you see. It's just really a massive effort it takes to televise one of these races, and it's really an undertaking, but they work very hard. Terry Linger, of course, is our coordinating producer of auto racing back in Connecticut. We don't get to see him nearly as often as we would like, but he pretty much runs things from Connecticut. Our chief spotter on these auto races is Dan Laycock from Indianapolis, and it's just very nice to work with all these guys, including the audio person who is responsible for you hearing us.
Yeah, it's not bad. And I don't mean to make this a glad-handing session, but I want to say something about everybody out there, too, Bob. We've had very good response from all of you about our efforts at covering Winston Cup racing. You've been very kind, and we want you to know that we appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the probability of doing a couple more of these Winston Cup races in the 1988 season. So thanks for your support.
Bill Elliott is on his way to his 6th win of 1987. He will again end as the only driver to win Winston Cup races from the pole position: Daytona, Talladega, and here. And there is Rusty Wallace and Davey Allison doing battle, and we believe this is for position for fifths. No, it is not. Rusty Wallace is 2 laps down in 13th, and of course Davey is only 1 lap down in 5th.
Also remember that statistic about winning a race here at Atlanta from the pole. What is it, Fireball, the very first race ever won from the pole here? It's never been done before, and now Bill's going to break that.
Well, he will if he can continue to lead for the next 3.5 laps. We're that close to the finish. Here he is off of turn number 4. This will complete lap 325. 3 more to go.
You know, Bill had added incentive. He had the 3 crew members that were seriously injured in that pit road incident at Riverside, and that was something was on his mind and Dan and Ernie's mind, and they really wanted to pull something off. Indeed, Ernie was one of the people injured. Or rather, Danny, excuse me, one of the people injured. And they really had a little extra incentive, and Bill probably has that on his mind right now. Those crew members injured, some of them are still recuperating, very much tuned in and watching this. Joey Knuckles and Ernie have really come through for the entire team today.
2 laps to go. About 3 miles of competition left as Bill Elliott moves to the high side and passes Mark Stahl from San Diego, California, in the Automobile Car Wash Ford.
Hats off also to the Unical panel, which in a nationwide balloting conducted by the exclusive 76 Racing panel of experts, picked Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt to be the favorites in this race, and I'd say that they were pretty close.
Off of turn number 4, and Harold Kinder waves the white flag. We've got 1 more lap to go for Bill Elliott. He moves into turn number 1, and he has open racetrack in front of him. I don't think he'll have to contend about passing anybody else in his final lap here at Atlanta. Halfway down the backstretch now. Half a lap to go for Bill Elliott. For the final time, he moves the car in turn number 3, keeping the car about midway in the racetrack. Now enters turn number 4. Exiting turn number 4, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, wins the final Winston Cup race of 1987, the Atlanta Journal 500, and the crew celebrates in the pit area.
Only 2 drivers have led the point all season long. Champion Dale Earnhardt and almost champion
medicated Noxzema shave cream. Feel the comfort. Feel the closeness.
It's Noxzema feeling. We feel it all so close.
My father is the greatest person I know.
If you had a race with my father, he'd always let you win at the end.
I love my pop very much.
He still calls me up and says, "How's my boy?"
When I grow up, I want to be like my dad.
When was the last time you took a picture of your dad?
Xerox, the antifreeze that beats winter. Available now. Sunday night, Miami's Dan Marino leads the NFL's top passing attack into a battle with the Dallas Cowboys' dream backfield. Live right after NFL Primetime, Sunday on ESPN.
Back at Atlanta International Raceway, the long shadows of the late afternoon stretching across Victory Lane as Bill Elliott climbs out of the Coors Melling Ford. And here is Dr. Jerry Punch to talk with him.
Well, the home state favorite has done it. He's won this race here in Atlanta, Georgia. And Bill trying to get ungarbed here from all the material he's been wearing for the last 3.5 hours. A tremendous win, Bill. Congratulations.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. You know, from all that happened the last couple of weeks, it really means a lot for us to come out and win this race. You know, with the help of Coors and Harry Melling and, you know, everybody else involved, you know, it's hard to win these races. And, you know, I got to say, I hope Chuck's out in California, you know, listening to the race, and, you know, we hope we'll get him back home. You know, we really hate what happened out there, but that's the way things go, and we're going to have to look over it and look forward to next year.
Well, Bill, good teams always respond to adversity, and I know there was some concern about the possible pit stops. You had one stop that was a little slow early on, the first stop, but the last stops were super.
Well, the first stop is whenever Cale got us caught on pit road. The Earnhardt stopped before, and we were on down below it, and I had to stop and wait a few minutes to get by it before I could go on to the pit.
About 100 laps to go, you went around Dale Earnhardt, and Ernie gave me a great big smile and said, "I think Bill's going to turn the wick up a little bit and we're going home." So that's what you did.
Well, you know, Dale's car got awful loose there for some reason. There one time he got away from me, and I thought, well, I ain't going to be able to do anything with him. And all of a sudden his car got looser and looser, and it seemed like my car got better and better, and I just put the pedal to the metal, and here we are.
Win number 6 on the season, win number 23 on his career. He'll finish second in the Winston Cup points, $225,000 richer for that. And we'll be back with Dale Earnhardt in just a minute. Here's Bill Elliott, winner of the Atlanta Journal 500.
And our Winner's Circle interview has been brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. No matter how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. Dale Earnhardt, our final thoughts and a tribute to the 1987 season coming up after this.